Hiya Benchmates, welcome to Beyond the Box Art, the podcast about models, modelers, and getting far too excited about the latest releases. Please welcome your host, Paul Pendleton-Brown, with Mike Baldwin, Dan Brazil, Shane Cowie, Mark Housley, James Nevitt, and Paul Wong. And we are joined this episode by Petr Herrmann and Petr Herrmann Jr. from ArtScaleKit.eu, better known as ASK. And we also have the remainder of the Revell 2026 range announcement with Luke Slaney-Hewitt, hence why this episode is dropping earlier than normal.
Welcome back, Benchmates, and this episode is a cracker for you. We have the first ever interview with Petr Herrmann and his son, Petr Herrmann Jr. from ArtScaleKit.eu, better known to most of us as simply ASK. The minds behind some of the most clever, problem-solving accessories, sublime 3D prints, super thin decals and modelling tools out there. Now, English isn't Petr's first language, but it is a lot better than our Czech. So you'll hear Petr Jr. stepping in to translate at times. And honestly, it makes the conversation even better. Because what comes out of this chat is pure gold. From how ASK was formed, which is both honest and compelling to listen to. Plus how some ideas were developed. And yes, we do discuss Zippo lighter fluid. Not in that way, but you will be wanting to try it as soon as you've heard how it's used. We're also joined by friend of the show, Luke Slaney-Hewitt, manager for aircraft, helicopters and real space at Revell. As this episode drops alongside the 2026 Revell range reveal, timed perfectly with the 75th Anniversary Nürnberg Toy Fair announcements for the year. Add to this the usual benchside banter, a fresh stash inflation report, and a few tangents we absolutely refuse to apologise for. So grab a brew, move that bottle of extra thin a little further away from the edge, get comfortable. This is episode 20 of Beyond the Box Art, and it starts now.
Visit ScaleModelPodcast.com, your hub for the best scale modelling pods, because finding great content shouldn't take longer than hunting for lost photo etch. Please support Models for Heroes, as sometimes building a scale model can help rebuild a person. Visit modelsforheroes.org.uk.
Okay then, gang, let's start off with some mail. We've had David Waples from Colorado write in. He's actually written in twice, but we forgot to read the first one out. Sorry. Okay.
Don't say it.
Shush. Greetings, guys. I've been listening from the beginning and really enjoy your podcast. Not only the content, but the professionalism and guest speakers. I lead a model ship club in Colorado, USA, and appreciate that every episode you have discussions about naval subjects and techniques. I'll be suggesting it to our club at our next meeting. One surprise to me was recommending a Yamato as a place to start modelling a ship. I would take a separate approach and look at Black Cat Models kits instead. They come with resin cast hulls, which require minimal cleanup, but most of the details 3D printed resin with only PE that is really required. They even now print 3D stairs. So, Nevs, now you've actually converted the world to building sodding ships?
See, but Brownie, I think this just proves you were the outlier this entire time. The world has seen sense. I remember this comment coming up last year about, it's a bit brave to suggest Yamato as a first build. Well, part of the reason is, if you look at the superstructure on Yamato, it's all in one place and it's all in one colour. So it's a massive conning tower. It's all integrated. if you're doing it in 700 or 350 or whatever, the sub-assemblies you can get from it, even though it's a huge kit, the sub-assemblies make it easier. And like I say, Musashi I did in 2 months flat. Kinugasa, which is a quarter of the size, took me 4 months. So that's partly why I suggested Yamato. But listeners will be able to find out what happens when a modeler's first ship model is a Yamato, because Dan is going to be doing just that. So he's picking up the 350th Yamato off Lee in the next week or so. So we'll find out his experiences from that. But I think on his other point about, all of the other entries into ship modelling, I think we should embrace as many as we can.
Wouldn't you have thought an aircraft carrier would have been a bit easy, because that's basically just a model, so with a little bit of a on the cell? Well,
definitely not.
Fine.
Why?
No. All right, okay, shoot me down.
Yeah,
Come on then,
we want to take that back. Aircraft carrier, you have to think, a lot of them, let's say it's the Second World War one, a lot of them carry the same armament like cruiser. So you've not spared yourself on all the tiny little guns. Plus you've got a deck full of aircraft if you're going to do it properly. And that flight deck, it's not two-dimensional, is it? You've got all the support struts underneath it because they overhung the whole lot on at least one side.
All right, I didn't think it through.
So obviously a lot of
Nevs.
yeah.
Okay, so he goes on. I was listening to your interview with Dave Goldfinch today and the discussion about different forms of kit instructions. ICM currently do video instructions for all their kits. They're quite good. Also, Edward has for a long time had their kit instructions available online. I suspect if I looked, I would find online instructions for many or most kits. Hard to imagine kit manufacturers doing away with the printed instructions anytime soon, though. I must admit, I didn't know ICM did video instructions. Did you?
Yeah. Go on the YouTube channel, and it'll show you when they're producing a new kit. So on but when they did it in 48, they actually showed you how it went together. So basically, it was a digital instruction, and it just shows you the pieces going together, these large engines, and they are quite...
What, like an animation?
Yeah, like an animation.
Oh, right.
But it just flows better than, obviously, stop, start, but it's all digital. So the aircraft's digital, so it just shows you all going together, and then you got the finished products at the end.
Aren't most of the traditional ones on ScaleMates? Can't you kind of find them on there? Is it ScaleMates?
ScaleMates have them off a lot of the instructions you can print off and stuff like that. But I think that instruction manuals should be digital.
Yeah, but don't forget, a lot of us modelers, Mike, are all old school. We're all...
Remember, we're all retired.
We're all retired. Yeah.
We're all retired. So be yourselves.
Well, let's put it this way, Boulders. If you were AI, would you have a voice like that?
The only reason they're saying is, regarding the instructions being digital, is because manufacturers will generally just spot a mistake that's too late. There's obviously instruction manuals are built, designed, and then they always find that there's an error. But if it was digital, they would be able to upload the new instruction onto it. I generally have my computer on, looking at stock reference photos. So having a manual on the screen, for me, is a lot better than having a thick booklet.
Wouldn't it be easy just to have both? Because these days, you've got these QR codes, so you can just,
Yeah, that's a better idea.
Then you've got a normal standard instruction sheet, as well as just in the bottom corner, a simple QR code that would take you straight to the manufacturer's website and onto their instruction.
It must cost them a fortune as well, like Earthix, for instance, with the Mark 9, the G6, the Mark 8. The instruction manuals are fairly thick. So that must cost them a fortune to print, because paper's not getting cheaper, paper's going up.
Well, I've got a link on my computer on one of the tabs to our good friends Revell, and it goes off to their downloads, which is on their PDF instructions. And at the minute, they have 1,746 instruction sheets. The only downside I would say is it's not the easiest to navigate, because you've got to oil through each and every one of them. But when you do find the one you want and you click on it, it's exactly as per
Revell's
website goes down.
Good point, Nevs.
Well, this is where you're clever, you see, because if it was like Earnfix that decided to change to digital, you'd be able to download it
Well, you can download this though, can't you?
Yeah. With Revell, they put it as the product number. So you need to know the product number of the kit. So if it's like 06934, for instance, you've got to search for that. But if you search at the top, it doesn't work. You've got to go down categorically and look for the numbers.
Yeah.
No, bad luck. I get the one that's printed in Swahili. Had no chance with it.
It's multi-language, Mark. So they've actually got it in Mancunian as well.
I wish somebody'd tell the Japanese that with the Tamiya ones, when you try and read some of their old ones. God,
That's fine. So instruction manuals, one in English and one in Japanese.
That's true. Which I've got the Japanese version of the Enterprise instructions, and I've got the other one in English. And to be honest, it's far easier looking at the Japanese one. Not that I can read Japanese, it's just like the pictures,
aren't they? And they're not the same pictures?
No, some of them aren't. But I don't know.
Interesting.
I know they have some fancy little sort of anime sketches on there, don't they? These little guys with
the tank man.
Yeah. Gooey eyes and all that.
The gooey eyes and don't sniff the glue.
The only other problem with digitized instructions is, let's say, if it's 72nd Spitfire Mark 1 currently retails $8.99 with your paper instructions. Next year, it's removed, still retails $8.99. It's shrinkflation. It's a stealth way of getting a bit more money off the...
That one
puts the onus on us to have to search, whereas if you just want a quick palette cleanser, the last thing you want to do is go down a rabbit warren online searching for how to build the thing.
Well, I sometimes think I don't need them instructions because I know, looking at these bits, I know what they all are by now. I've been looking at them long enough.
The thing is, some of them are like an A4 piece of paper, like the Spitfire Mark 1. It's on an A4 piece of paper, so that's not costing as much. But if you're spending 120 quid on, and it all depends as well on how much bench space you've got, because not all modellers have got man caves like, most of us have got. They've probably got a little desk in the back of the living room or dining room.
Or even sat in a hotel somewhere.
Or even sat in a hotel somewhere.
Yeah.
I used to have a customer that used to just build all these models in the hotel room while he was working away and then spray them on a weekend. So it's because they're quite big, it takes up build space. And that's why I'm thinking for those that, are buying expensive kits, like the Meteor or the Earthix 24 scale, a digital version is more beneficial.
But it is. Anyway, okay, moving on then. Getting back to the point, yes. Oh, yeah. The discussion we actually had referenced some instructions. Some of the instruction books are suggestions of how things should be assembled rather than actually useful. But going on to the other extreme, you've got Revell's instructions these days, which are literally just diagrams with no text. So you get over the multi-language version, but you go to the other end where you've actually got the Qatari instructions, which are almost a collector's piece in themselves and are part of the kit experience. The information you get in a Qatari instruction kit, best rephrase that.
It's a history book.
It is more of a history book. It is, literally. Would you say Wing Not Wings were the first manufacturer to do something like that?
I would say that, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would.
I mean, when they came out, you only had to look at the amount of reference material they had on there. Just amazing.
Mind-blowing, weren't they, from the get-go, as soon as it come out?
It's one where I still would love to own one, but biplanes aren't my thing. That's the only thing.
Oh, I need a one. I actually bought one last year from our favourite model shop in Yorkshire, and it was a DH9 Ninac.
Oh, right, okay.
No, it's the original box. I think I paid 50 quid for it, but the instructions are stunning. It's second.
I bet you, once you've read the instructions and the history and the references, you've had your fill. You don't need to build it. You can just put the book away and that's it.
Yeah. Okay, David, thanks for that. We'll move on to the next email we had in, which is from Ian Hamilton from Albany in New York. And he says, I've just listened to your interview with Stuart Rolfe, which was Black Hat scale models in Australia. Top-notch content. His approach is spot on, and it's refreshing to hear it shared with listeners. Best regards, Ian. Well, thanks for that. I must admit the discussion we had with him, even though it was a ridiculous time of the day for him to actually get up and record with us, was absolutely brilliant. So thanks for that comment.
It's very nice.
Yeah, I like stuff like that.
Yeah.
We've also had an email from Graham James. He said, chaps, I've not caught up on the last few episodes, so apologies if this has been covered.
Come on, Graham.
Get a grip, but hey-ho.
Gonna move on.
I wonder if there's any merit in opening up a discussion on DIY decal printing. It seems incredibly difficult to do white decals without the old Alps or highly specialised expensive modern printers. And whilst 3D printing, etc. has seen rapid progress in technology, availability and cost reduction, white decal printing seems to be going in the opposite direction. We seem to be in limbo. I recognise there are more decal manufacturers than ever, but you have to wait for them to do a subject, and even when they do, you can end up paying for a sheet where 90% of the decals are unused, etc. I'd like to know from folks who know more about the process, the reasons why there's not much progress for desktop production. Well, I think it's a very interesting question.
And
how about decal printing?
Yeah, decal printing. So
I've got one of your results as well, Mike.
have you?
Yeah.
Which one?
Did you do a Greek F4
I think I did.
at 48 scale?
Yeah.
I'm sure it was just kind of a special thing you did.
Special scheme. I had to use white decal paper because to buy a printer, obviously the printer comes in 4 colours, normally, your black, your cyan, your magenta, and yellow. Those that produce decals, and for decal manufacturers, I've gone out and bought all singing, all dancing printers. The printers cost tens of thousands of pounds to buy because the only difference is it has a white cartridge for white ink. Now, most decal manufacturers will use a clear decal film and print on top, and then it gets sealed in with a sealer. To combat that, a few years ago, because there was a particular scheme that I wanted to do for an aircraft, I actually got some white decal paper and started printing on that. So like RF roundels were perfect because it would do the red, the mark in red, the mark in blue, and you'd have the white on the inside. So you didn't have to, there are certain ways of getting around it, but it's very difficult.
Even though it's not giving you a white ink, so when you transfer it off, it's just going to leave a big clear area, isn't it?
No, it's not, because it's not a white sheet.
It's already white.
Decal paper is already white.
It's like white paper, Nebs.
Yeah, and it's like white paper. So you're printing on top of it, on top of the white decal sheet.
Yeah.
And then you would seal it in, and I was using microscale decal film, so the printer will know that it's just going to print the colours that you've got. It's going to mix them and print them out onto the sheet, and where the white areas are, it will leave. Now, I tried it with an inkjet, and it was a bit messy because if you took it out and handled it, the ink's still a little bit wet because it takes longer to dry on. I tried it with a laser jet, and that worked far better because obviously it was stuck on. It had heated, cured as it came out.
Okay, so the obvious question here is you've got to be really precise with your cutting for the outside. If you were doing an RAF roundel, so the outside of the blue, you would have to cut extremely sharp. Otherwise, you risk having a white border.
You'd have a white border, and that's obviously the issue. Now, if Hungary starts producing whiting, I think it would be the demise of the decal companies.
Okay, I think we will hopefully get other people actually emailing us in to actually carry on the conversation, and we'll pick it up in the future. But Graham, thank you very much for your message. You didn't say where you're from, but hopefully you're enjoying the show. And for anyone else who wants to either continue with this part of the conversation or any other emails or messages you want to send us reference the show, drop us an email at info@beyondtheboxart.com. Okay.
Guaranteed, whatever your question is, we'll talk about something else.
And
Yeah.
ain't that the truth? Anyway, we'll get there in the end. But apologies for those guys that actually wrote in and we haven't read it out for a while. We've been a little bit busy with other things, but we are back with it now. So we'll carry on, hopefully, in this vein and trying to have some readers' letters in future episodes as we go on. So with that, let's find out what you guys have got on the bench other than dust. So let's start with Nevs.
Well, Brownie, like I said, I need to be a little bit Houdini-like and assume that we've got to Bolton and that the USS Indianapolis is finished, which I I have every confidence that it will be because it's going very well. So right now, talking pre-Bolton, I'm just putting finishing touches on it. Obviously, it's in sub-assemblies.
It's a submarine, not a ship then?
No, very funny. If you had a bit more ship knowledge, you'd understand this. But
Oh, he is so easy to wind up.
very. It has the special cargo in the port side hangar.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be on display. I've got the box ready to go. Just need to do Wongy's Seascape for it. But next on the workbench, I think I am in a bit of a ship building mood still. So a few weeks ago, I picked up from Model Balray, which I spoke out on the last episode. I picked up the first ever German dreadnought called SMS Nassau. So I think I'm going to do that. It's a 3D printed kit. It'll be my first ever 3D printed kit to build. So that'll be interesting. The parts are amazing. If you look at what are scaled down 88mm guns in 700 scale, they look fantastic. And he's done the gun shields on the front of them as well. The only thing I'm not as sure about is it's a resin cast hull. And it's still got the casting block on the bottom, which is a bit like, you'd have thought he might have removed that. It's quite a thick thing to then have to remove. So
You need to buy a saw from ASK.
yeah, I mean,
Put it underwater as well now.
okay. Yeah,
It keeps the dust off you.
yeah. It's quite a small kit. These dreadnoughts, even though they're known as being these terrifying weapons, they're tiny in comparison to anything that comes later. It'll be smaller than Indianapolis, but it carries 12-inch guns. It's crazy. Wow. But yeah, it looks really interesting. I just need to pick up some paint for it, and it'll be an interesting build.
What happened to the tanks now? And what are you doing a spit?
Yeah, well, that's here as well. And yeah, you're right. The Grant, I'm going to obviously, hopefully, pick up some paints for it at Bolton. So I need a good primer for it. I'm thinking white, but it essentially needs a primer, but it also needs the actual desert colours because I don't normally do tanks. I don't have the accurate colours for it.
What primers are you thinking of buying? An acrylic or?
Yeah, an acrylic.
I might actually have one here you can have. I think I've got a one-shot.
Right, okay.
I found out, actually, just going slightly off tangent with one shot. Sometimes they're good. I'm okay with the grey one. But
I'm all right with the black one, funnily enough.
Is it? The black one that I've got, it seems to, I don't know. It might be infected with something when I opened it up and, I don't know, dropped.
I've got the, what is it, Steinel Res as well. I've got a couple of them.
Yeah, badges.
One shot's the same. So, just touching on that, 'cause it's weird how things come up. I was reading something today regarding modern kit manufacturers now are using a plastic that's not smooth and glossy. They're actually using a matte. And somebody was saying they've been using one shot that starts on the new Airfix 109 and they've masked over it and it's not peeled off. He said when he's tested it with an older kit that's got like a smooth glossy plastic and he's sprayed that on and he's done the exact same thing and it's just peeled right off. So I think with Airfix with their plastic, because it's a bit rough, it keys better. So I think it's the preparation of the model. So for the glossy one, you'd have to sand it to get a key on it to then spray over.
Well, to be honest with you, I always give mine a little bit of a light dusting with it, or the micro, the thingy cloth.
It might not be enough, Mark. That's what I'm thinking, because I know a lot of people will micro mesh.
Micro mesh, that's the one I use.
So what are you looking at, 800 or 1,000 grit?
No, way more than that, like 2,400. It's like just very light. They're little pads.
Are these the Albin Alloy ones?
They are. I think he does them now. So that one that's a 2,000, that one. It's very little there, but on the plastic, they're great. I've got piles of them. I absolutely love these. Really do. And the thing is, I think with age and use, they actually get better.
Do you wet sand yours or do you dry sand them?
I wet, to be honest with you. It depends what I'm doing and what I'm after.
Right.
Sometimes there's nothing like, you say you're doing a Corsair and you want to go through the paint and you put an undercoat on it in the pale chromate green or the yellow, and you want to just go through little bits and where there's footfall, this stuff is absolutely perfect for just taking the top layer of the blue colour off, and it'll just show through the little bit of the green or whatever the undercoat, or even if it was silver underneath. Really good.
Me and Martin were a modeler, and after he was primed, he would go over with that, and the finish was just smooth.
I do.
As the baby's backside.
Beautiful.
Absolutely unbelievable. So anyways,
So we've stopped Nevs. Sorry, Nevs.
I was done.
So you've only got the Grant left then.
So you got the Grant, the Spitfire. You're getting almost as many things started as boulders.
Oh, God.
Listen, these things are
shots fired.
these things are
going up from Bismarck.
I thought you had a Japanese warplane on the go as well at one point.
No, I've no.
Oh, right.
I'm thinking of doing a zero at some point soon. So I've got quite a few zeros at the end of last year.
What scale was that engine, by the way, from ASK?
I didn't get the engine. I got the seat
Oh, you got the seat.
in 70 seconds. So, and it's
Right.
designed for the Tamiya zeros, and I've got 3 of them. So I've picked up 2 of the A6M3s, both the short wing and the normal wing versions, and the A6M5, which is my favourite version.
M3, that the short wing, that's the hemp, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. Yeah. I think it's for the A6M5, the seats. That's the one it'll be going in.
Aren't Fine Moulds doing a new one?
Done it.
Or have they done it in 72?
It's supposed to have been released not September gone, the September before, because it was advertised. And then for some reason, it just disappeared. Nobody got them.
Yeah. It's like this Dragon thing, this Dragon 109. When's this thing coming along?
It's out. I've seen the boxing for it. Yeah, I've seen the boxing for it. I've seen a review on it, and somebody was quite disappointed on it.
Oh,
In what way?
So apparently the seam line on the fuselage is not symmetrical. So apparently it's higher on one side than it is on the other, and it's not highly defined.
Interesting.
I'll tell you what, going back to the World War One things you was talking about, I watched Black Hat's review on the Gotha Force 3D printed D7 in 32nd scale. I highly recommend having a watch of that. It's absolutely amazing. They've even done parts of it in different versions of resin, stuff that's quite bendy, and it's just absolutely breathtaking. And the whole thing, all the interior is done as one piece. It's literally, I can't remember what it was now, but it might be less than 100 parts for this thing. And it's absolutely amazing.
Like as long as I'm there, it's only 40 parts more. But
And there's no rigging on it. The D7, it's pretty much rigging free. There's just a little bit of wire underneath, undercarriage maybe.
My Nemesis rigging. Don't like it.
I don't mind.
The rigging I'm going to be using, I got some from Warlord Games, just their rigging.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm going to try that. I've got one. I've got 2 more if you want one. We'll see how it goes.
I use the Easy Line because it's quite stretchy.
Yeah, I've got Easy Line. The only thing with Easy Line I find is that after a while, it starts to sag.
No,
Really?
I've had nothing whatsoever regarding sagging. I've got a Corsair there that I did with Easy Line, and that's been built 2 years, and it's not sagged at all.
Yeah. I did it on a old, and this is where Dan will probably start laughing at me. So I did some Easy Line stuff on a B17, the old, God, which one was it now? I think it was the G, the monogram kit.
With the chins on it.
Yeah. So I did that, and it was my first time stretching it. And what I didn't realise is you don't hold the end of the... Yeah, correct. That's the only way you can do it. And I was like, trying to drag it, hold it there, trying to dab a little bit of super glue on it at the same time. Let go, and it pinged off the other way.
And the minute you touch it on something else, just for a split second, it's got the best... Oh, it's gripped. Can't believe it.
I know. And it pings off. It always hits a propeller, and it's glued, it says, to the prop.
And you think you've heard it, and you think, I know where that is.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
No.
So when I did King George V one day, I was doing a bit of research. They said don't over tension it because over time the elasticity can affect. So you just put it to a point because it can also bend plastic. If the tension is too high, it can start to pull. So if you put it on so it's just tight enough, it doesn't affect it. But I've used, and like I said in one of the previous podcasts, I've used that UV resin glue to glue it into place because it sets in seconds. It's quicker than super glue and you can't see. But the good thing about UV glue is if it's not in the right place, you can move it into position before you fire it off.
Right.
So that's the one thing I don't like about super glue, because if you get it down, you go blooming ill and you need to move it. You've then got to start to try and get it off, which one, super glue either takes the paint off. With UV resin, you can just drop it on, move it into position, swirl it, you can get, and then fire it off, let go. Well, you buy the glue, you get the light with it. Do you?
I've got one. In fact, I was actually using it on Nev's ship.
Make sure everyone knows this one. You were a ship modeler. You were building one.
Correct.
No, I was actually helping you. I wasn't actually building the ship, thankfully, but Nev's popped over and wanted some holes drilling to represent access doors onto the turrets for your current build. And we actually, more to the point, I put a couple of holes in the wrong place. So we used some resin, filled it, flashed it with a light, smoothed it down, re-drilled it all within a couple of seconds. So not only as an adhesive, but for small cracks and things like that, it saves a hell of a lot of time.
Do you know what? It's also called for clear canopies when you crack them. They keep the eyes clear.
Yeah. Oh, there's a completely wasted tube.
Yeah. Disintegrating stuff all gone off.
It is really, really good stuff. And if you haven't used it before, I most definitely have a go with it, because I think even Nevs was impressed with how quickly we actually resolved the issue, sanded it down within a couple of minutes, or even that. We literally just flashed it over with the gun. Within a few seconds, we were actually filing it smooth again.
Yeah, that sounds brilliant to me, because I made a mistake on a recent kit, where I did drill a hole in the wrong place.
Mm-hmm. And well, I was going to say, I was thinking of a new section of the show we could have. One is wisdom and bold as bog ups, but
could be bigger. The bog. What's going on tonight? Not fired. Hey,
second salvo.
Second salvo.
Oh God, it's a nautical term again. Oh hell.
What I was going to say was that when I was working in a model shop, I said we need to try this to see what it's like, and it was great for gluing canopies into place. Because there's nothing worse than putting your canopy and pouring it down, and then the fumes from the inside cooking it up. Yeah. And it's the same with super glue. It can cause issues with your canopies, and it can fog it up and everything else. So I tried it online, it worked. And to be honest, I've never seen it again since. But I will use the UV resin glue to glue canopies into place, because when it dries clear and you can't see it. So
that's a very good point. Fixing canopies onto a kit using UV resin is something I've never actually considered before, but it's a damn good point. You're not going to get the fogging, and you're actually going to get a good seal, and you're actually going to get what you need without any faffing about with trying to put putty or anything in there as well.
Exactly. And the thing is, I don't like having canopies open on aircraft, because they're an absolute nightmare for collecting dust. And it's a nightmare to get something in there to remove it all. So I would rather have my canopies closed, because you can still see in, and it's a perfect way of getting them bunkered down and not having to worry about.
I reckon that's your cleaning fetish, that you don't like clean.
No, it's not that one, because if you've spent time on a cockpit and you've got small parts in there and you go in like that with a little paintbrush, get the hoover in there. It doesn't work, and you end up knocking small parts off and everything else, and it's an absolute nightmare. And at one point, I was resulting by giving the models a bath to try and get it all out. So I'd stick them in the bathtub, put the shower on, let water dissolve it, and get rid of it all, let it overflow out, and then dry them off. But it's just an absolute bath. Here's one for you. Why don't resin manufacturers produce resin? So if they were going to do say for instance, a 48 scale Spitfire cockpit, why wouldn't they do the 3D printed resin in the colours of the actual cockpit itself?
You can do that.
Like cockpit green for the side walls, and the framing, obviously one would have to be in like an aluminium colour, the instrument panel being black. So then basically because obviously most now of the little sprue gates on resin you can't see, and then it's just all put together, put it in, it's all painted, it's done.
Whatever next. I mean, all of a sudden we're getting our cockpits, instrument panels done for us. We're getting all our little bits and bobs, seats done for us, and now we want the cockpits painted.
Yep, some people prefer building over painting, and some people prefer painting over building.
Yeah.
So there needs to be that little bit of something in between where if you bought, like Edward's hybrid kit, for instance, if they did that at the year 199 in RLMO2 for the interior and did it in that colour plastic, in resin, then somebody could knock that together in 20 minutes, through the fuselaging together, and then they can get on with painting.
The issue you've got there is if you look at some of the Quinter sets that are available, they do cockpit sidewalls in a 3D print. The problem is colour matching the parts that they supply to the rest of the cockpit. Because how many shades of RAF cockpit interior green have you got from different manufacturers?
Yeah, I just still use XF71 from Tamiya because I think that's the best match for an RAF cockpit green.
I'll sometimes paint round the instruments with the actual cockpit colour I'm using rather than the cockpit colour or the colour that's been put onto the panel.
Nevs is very quiet on this because there are no cockpits.
There is, but it's very different. One of the things I've got the AK cockpit green pen, so that'll be interesting to see how that works.
It's good for highlighting, and it's good for, instead of doing a bit of dry brushing, you can probably highlight little bits of areas, and
the RAL 5001 blue is great for like prop spinners and things. If you've got any blue based aircraft, that's good. But yeah, you're right. It's not my wheelhouse at the moment.
They're great for little bits of touch up and stuff like that.
Painting tyres, the rubber black's really good, and their aluminium is really good. So doing tyres is literally an absolute doddle because you've got more control than with a paintbrush.
Yeah,
it's like a dark German grey for the rubber. It's not black, as they say.
So the next question obviously is, what have you spent your money on, Nevs?
Oh, this will be quick. I've not really spent my money on anything. So debating at Bolton, obviously I'll be glued to my stand for the most part. Part of me is thinking, do I have a shopping list and ask who certain people who are going in advance, or do I hope that they have things on their stores that are nautical themed? So if anyone's going to Bolton that has got a 700 Prince Eugen or the ICM German battleships in their warehouse, just please bring it along.
That's going to be really clever because you'll have to shout because the show was actually a few days ago.
Well,
this goes out.
It means that I won't spend money.
Or you've spent a fortune, which we'll find out when we actually record the next episode.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said your stand. What do you mean by your stand?
Well, thanks to Boulders and Wongi.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. And the floor plan, by the way, looks excellent from where we are. So my company, which I set up last year, called Pondstones, will be there for the first time. It's our first in-person show. We've only had a few sales up till now, mainly ship kits, but quite a few aircraft and books as well. So there'll be a lot of books and model kits and a few wargaming bits on sale. So it's going to be interesting.
Where did the name?
You got a shop?
Yes, I've not got a brick and mortar shop. I've got an eBay shop, and I've more or less got an online store now. So I was telling Brownie, me and websites do not get along, but I'm using a certain card provider who integrates everything for you, and the website that I've got with them links to everything. So I could sell you a kit at Bolton, and someone who goes to try and buy it off my website, it will say out of stock, or vice versa. Do you know what I mean? So it's all linked. I can get it on my phone. I can get it on the card console. It's great. So all the links for people to buy will be there. I'll have the cards if you want to buy online, delivery.
So what's the web address then, Nevs?
Pondstones.co.uk.
Put the invoice in the post for the advertising.
Yeah.
Okay. Most of your stock seems to be coming from the Far East?
Yeah, well, the USP is that there's so many Japanese kits, particularly nautical themed, that you can't get over here, or if you do, it's at rip-off prices. So the idea is to have a market there of ship kits of a very good quality that people can get at an actual decent price.
So what would you say was the best quality of ship kit going? I mean, we're talking Flyhawk or somebody like that, would you say?
Possibly Flyhawk, because I have not spent anything. It's a bit of a lie. I'm just looking at V Hobby. They seem to be up there at the moment as well. So I've bought a couple of theirs.
Okay, moving on. Boulders, what have you got on your bench?
Still the Poppy Battleship Graph Spare. I haven't done much. I've been a bit busy with organising possibly the best one-day show in the UK.
What do you mean, possibly? It is.
Well, it is. According to Spencer, it is. So I've been busy with that, but I will be getting some bedtime back to carry on with the Graph Spare and the Lexington aircraft carrier, which was something Neves was saying before about when Mark actually mentioned it regarding aircraft carriers. Me personally, I think it depends on which one, because the US all had small anti-aircraft guns, but if you've got one like Royal, it's got 5-inch turrets on the side of it, then it's a bit different because you're not producing, because there's no small anti-aircraft. They were all, they had whoppers. So I'll be back on with the Graph Spare. I'm just trying to get as much information as I can on the camouflage scheme for the Battle of the River Plate, because some people are saying it's green, some people are saying it's grey. So I'm just doing a bit of research on that at the minute before I crack on with it. What that or seascape? Yeah, and a nice flat seascape in Montevideo in Uruguay with a couple of launches out on the...
That sounds really nice, actually.
Yeah, something a bit different.
Yeah.
Okay, and what have you been spending your cash on?
Absolutely, Jack Nolan. Again? Again, unfortunately, I'm getting fleeced by the dentist because I need some work done. So that's possibly I'm going to have to sell me kidney, half my liver, possibly a lung to get that sorted.
Hang on, you bought 2 kits off me.
Well, yeah, I did, didn't I?
See how he's forget. Do you know? Hey, I've not forgotten. He still needs no payment.
I was going to say, has he paid you?
So I've got 2 700 scale, RMS Olympic, and number one. TS Britannic. No, I was just trying to think because this is Majesty's troop ship. Britannic is 700 scale to go with my 700 Titanic and a bit of a B.
Are you doing the triple queens together? All of them?
Triple Titans.
Yeah, the Titans. Yeah,
the Titans. Because unfortunately, nobody does a 700 scale Mauritania and Lusitania because they were Cunards. They were the competitors. White Star was obviously Cunard, and they were in competition with each other in the early 1910s.
They'd do very well if they did those as well, especially...
I think they will. Yeah, they consider them. Well, FX did it, but they did it in an odd scale. They did it in 600, but they never did Mauritania. Now, I know Guns did Lusitania in 350th, but that is like rare as Rocky Horse. Doodah. Yeah, it's absolutely really, really rare to get hold of. I think the last one sold for 650 quid.
Oh, God.
An auction site. So they're just rare. So yeah, so that's a theme on that.
Is it a decent model?
Which?
The one that's at 600 quid, was it a good model in the first?
Yeah. It's done by Gonzano, who obviously do paints, the Mr. Hobby range. They actually did some kits, and for some reason...
Did you do some armour?
Did some armour as well. They were quite selective in what they did. But yeah, the 350th Lusitania is just... It's absolutely stunning. Stunning model, what it's built and everything else. And yeah, I'd like to...
Hang on, did you just say the Lusitania?
Yeah.
Because I think when I was doing my foraging rounds in Hong Kong, I think I came across a Guns Sanyo ship for 80 quid.
If it's there next time you go, you snap it for me.
In half?
No, not in half, just snap it up.
I might have to snap it in half to get it in the bag if it's 50.
I think it's in, I'll pay postage for you to send it back from Hong Kong.
Bloody hell. Oh, right.
On that, I'll just give you, just let me know how much it is. I'll just buy a transfer and just post it back. Because if one is in Hong Kong, it's one of the ships I want to do because it's a stunning liner.
It's one of those things there's a particular shop, that I frequent, much to the annoyance of Mrs. W, where he has a backlog of kits where like expats who've been building, then when they've left Hong Kong, what am I going to do with these 1,000 kits? And they always contact this guy, and he has a warehouse full of backdated kits. So every so often he will grab a few, stick it in his shop, and it's luck of the draw, basically, when you see these things. But yeah, I didn't know you like that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I've not always been into aircraft. It was my granddad that got me into the Titanic. And then obviously as you do a little bit more reading, you find out about the Lusitania, because that's what Titanic was built for, was to compete with Cunard to be the fastest ocean liner. And obviously they competed for the Blue Ribbon.
I'm just looking at a picture of it now. It looks very similar to the Titanic, doesn't it?
It does. Obviously, the top part is, yeah, it is similar in design, obviously.
To a non-boaty person, it does.
To a non-boaty person, obviously, it's got a similar design. Obviously, it's got more promenade decks than Titanic. She was quadruple screw, so she had 4 propellers. Titanic only had 3. And she actually had 4 working smokestacks. It was where Titanic only had 3. So she had big class had 3.
A shell 4 was one a faker.
It was a faker, but it actually served a purpose because it was actually a ventilation shaft. So they actually directed, so basically they could get fresh air in. It was like a 2-way system. So obviously, if you're a stoker on a coal steamer, it's going to be really hot down there. And they shoveled, I think they shoveled 4 hours straight. And then that was it. That was their shift done. So they had multiple teams of stokers shoveling coal into the boilers to produce the steam, but they did it on a rotation of 4. I think they had 6 teams, so they were only like 1 a day for 4 hours.
Blimey, I wish I had that job. Well, actually, I don't.
No,
she had the work hours.
Then obviously, all stokers got redundant on the Olympic, because the Olympic was the last liner left when she got refitted after the First World War, and she was converted from coal to oil, so she became an oil burner.
I'll tell you what, the wreck's in a bit of a bad way, isn't it?
The wreck is worse than Titanic. She was on her side, and obviously the immense of fishing and everything else, and the currents there, it's just wore away the superstructure. So she's actually collapsed. All the bulkheads have gone, and she's now flat.
Well, so Lusitania was the one which was that
1915. She was torpedoed
off the coast of Ireland.
Yeah. It was the one which was carrying all the families and kids, wasn't it?
It's not the end that brought America into the war, though, is it?
Well, that's 20.
It's controversial.
1917.
Yeah, it was brought up in April 1917. It was like news why we're here, as well as all the other things that have happened since. It's what started the snowball of reasons.
Right. The Germans were adamant that the Lusitania was carrying arms to the UK from America,
Which
she was classed. She was, but they told that it was just a passenger liner. Nothing was going on. They were bringing people and stuff like that, and they were taking people back to America that had been injured. But yeah, the Germans torpedoed her, and then when they actually went down, they actually found cases of brass ammunition and weapons. So she was carrying. So
it was a legitimate.
Targets. Unfortunately, the passengers were casualties of war.
Yeah,
Thought the Americans didn't like it, so that's why they went in. But yeah, so 1930s is, for ocean liners for me, is a bit of a guilty pleasure. I think the most stunning ocean liner ever made was Normandy, because she was so ahead of her time.
Was that the one that ended up in an American harbour being on fire or something like that, was it?
Yeah, she was called the USS Lafayette, and they were working on her. And at the time, the shipbuilder, the designer, was in New York. I'd heard that she was on fire and said, I know how to save her. But they disabled all the sprinkler systems while they were working to turn her into a troop ship. And she just rolled. She rolled onto her side. So...
did they ever pull her up then? Did they ever get it up?
Yeah. They had to write her, and obviously she went on to the scrap. But she ended up being the fastest ocean liner.
Blue ribbon.
Yeah, blue ribbon.
Did that happen to another ship in
there was another ship in American, there was another one as well, and I'm trying to think of
there's a German liner that was pretty much
German.
I think can't remember the name. I want to say Hamburg. I could be wrong. But there was one that was built along a similar vein of competing with the likes of Lusitania, Mauritania, Olympic. And it didn't have as many smokestacks, but it was stunning inside. And that was in an American harbour, and it was confiscated. And that had a fire, but then they managed to
save that one.
Yeah. There definitely was a second one.
Didn't they have one that blew up? A massive one that it caught.
That was
saved lots of life.
That weren't a passenger liner.
No, but that was another one again in an American harbour, wasn't it? Was it New York again, where the thing blew up?
I think New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey, I think it was.
Is that not New York? Is that not?
No, it's miles off.
It's next door. It's next door.
It's about 2 centimetres on me map.
Well, it just shows you. I mean, I've probably been.
There's the difference between Blackpool and Liverpool, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe with
okay.
Yeah.
You
get the idea.
So for us, that's local.
Yeah.
Fair enough. No. Okay, then, moving on. Wongy, what you got on your bench?
Right, so having finished off all my Tamiya stuff, which was, I refreshed my old Sand Scorcher, which I talked about. I'm talking in the past now. On the Tamiya RC table at Bolton, I did, of all things, a weird one, which was I refurbed the Dragonflies. Yes, the solar-powered Dragonflies from Tamiya. Apart from the fact that the solar panel bit doesn't work because the plastic's all gone weird. So I've actually connected a battery to it. So I've sort of killed it off, really, haven't I? I've got a solar-powered Dragonfly, which I'm operating using a battery because it's indoors. So clean that one up. And I built an F-16, which has been finished, deckled up. It's looking very nice. So that's done. And right, just to change my shit fetish now, I've built a car. I've built a Nissan GTR R33, and it's in a lovely purpley coloured body colour. And my big bugbear is trying to get the actual paintwork to look super glossy and gorgeous, but hey-ho, it was built in a rush. And new kits, which are not Tamiya based, I'm in the middle of building this Airfix What's It. I'm just flashing it up now.
Yeah, sticking a box between you and the microphone really helps the audio.
Oh, sorry. Is that better? So I'm building this Airfix E328 Mistel with a mothership, which is the Dornier 217E. Now, having done a bit of research, as you do on kits, this actually never flew. It was a paper drawing exercise. So I'm building that, which being nearly 60 parts or less, it's great. And you can add a bit more detail into it. So like you, Mark, my cockpit in that is going to be black. So that's what I'm building at the minute, Brownie.
Okay. And what have you bought?
Right. Okay. When I was in Hong Kong, I saw the bargain of a century from a company called 3D. Oh, God, what's it called?
Gizmo?
No, 3D Wild. And they're on Facebook. And I
featured them on the stash report.
And they did HMS Hermes at 1/350 scale with full air wing, full sailors, you name it. And I thought, £28.80, that's bloody good money. So anyway, I clicked buy, and being really sort of happy with myself, I got a bargain. And it turned out when I looked at my PayPal account, it was pushing on $340.
Has Mrs. W found this out yet?
No.
Okay.
It's not been delivered yet because they're still tinkering with the design, but I think it's a full resin kit, isn't it, Nevs?
Yeah, it will be.
So there's that one.
So was that a price label mistake, or was it just you not reading it properly?
No, it's me looking at it at 2:00 in the morning.
What you'll have done, they sell the kits in modules. So if you just want to buy the crew bit, you can buy the crew bit if you just want them. So the one guy looked at the price for, the radar set. I just need the radar. They're only 20.
The buy finger came out and pressed the button, PayPal details were just like that. So anyway, I bought that. I'll be really happy when I see it, hopefully, when they make it. And apart from that, I've actually bought a book by John McKay, and it's HMS Victory.
God.
It's the 100 gunship Victory. And I'm contemplating building one of those Revell, hello Luke, one of Revell's old ship kits, the Victory kit, but I'm going to do it on a seascape, so you only see that much of it. Now, I know what you're thinking. But
I've got one of them.
I bet you don't.
I've got one of them.
Yeah. But when you look at it, I'll show you a quick picture. Listeners, you can't see this because it's obscene. It's rigging coming out everywhere. Every mast arm, you name it, it's got rigging on it.
I think the Revell kit, the rat lines are all pre-done. They're in a little, they're already...
The main ones.
Yeah.
It's the ones where they go round all over the show. And to be honest, if there's a photo etch company out there on Victory, having a quick glance of that book, there were like safety lines which went across the top of the ship. I don't even know what it's called. What do you call it? Near the deck of the ship, sorry. And these things are very, very fine, and there's no way you could do it in plastic, basically.
Do you mean safety lines as in stop you going overboard, or stop you?
It's almost like a safety barrier there.
They were for the hammock. They were called hammock nets. Then the men used to put the hammocks in them.
You did? Yeah. But it's interesting to read about the history of Victory because, we could do another podcast on this at some later day. But
have you ever been?
I've not been, but I plan to go now that I'm retired, We're
retired, remember?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we're all retired. I
think it's all covered up at the minute. I think it's got a big tent over it. They're doing lots of work on it.
Yeah.
They've replacing all the side hull.
Not much of the original left, is there really?
No, it's all rotted, so they've had to replace it. So considering how old the ship is, she's still the original ship. She's just had...
I thought
we're talking Trigger's Broom.
Yeah. What was it? 5 handles and 6 brush heads.
If a ship goes in for a refit, it still comes out the same ship. Even if they've had new hull pieces put on and stuff like that, it's still the same ship. It's still supposed the name.
As long as Horatio Nelson's ghost is still stalking the deck.
Yeah, still on there.
He'll be there. Yeah. So anyway, there you have it. There's my purchases. I've bought loads at bulk. No, I've not. No, I'm lying. I'm not going to spend a thing.
I really can't believe you're going to do one of them. You're going to attempt that.
Well, to be honest, it's one of many because I've also got in the stash the Spanish Galleon by Revell, the big one, the really massive big box. And I built that originally as a kid when I was about 10, which is a ridiculous age to build a Spanish galleon because of, 6 billion pieces that were in it.
I think it's quite expensive, that as well.
Well, the thing is, I looked at it and I thought, right, it comes with little figures and stuff like this, and it looks really nice, very detailed, and it's crying out to be on a seascape with cannons going off and a bit of action. That's what I quite fancy, is building old ships with lots of action going on.
I'll tell you, I've got a Constitution you can have.
Well, you gave me your Cutty Sark, didn't you?
Yeah, I've also got a Constitution that's bigger than that, but it's the one without, it doesn't come with sails, but that's how it came as a kit.
Well, to be honest, you could do it in dock because they...
Oh, it's massive, mate. It's huge. It's massive.
No, I'll keep hold of that, Mark, until I've got it out in my system.
I've got quite a few old galleons. I've definitely got a Victory. I've got the Revell Victory knocking around somewhere.
Anyway, what's on Brownie's bench?
I got a hot dog from Ammo.
You've got a hot dog?
Yes.
Well, is this the thing that you showed me, Brownie?
The 8 gun. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic little tool. Comes with a adapter so you can stretch sprue. So think of the paint strip of the hot air gun.
Yeah.
It's like one of those, but for modelling. And also you can use it to actually flash off acrylic paint, so it'll actually dry faster.
Oh, right. Okay.
You've got 2 different settings on there. So treated myself, never seen it sold in the UK, but it's got UK instructions and UK everything on it. It just hasn't got a UK plug, so I have to use a European adapter.
Surprised me with that. I've never heard of that one.
Yeah,
that hot dog.
And it's not called that though, is it? Is that what it's called?
Ammo hot dog.
Oh, right. Well, I'm going to look it up now.
I was going to Google it.
Yeah. Come on, Mr. Google.
Looks like a flashlight Brownie showed me when I popped around his.
the other week.
Camel hot dog. Oh yeah, it does look like it looks like a double torch, doesn't it?
Cross. Yeah. That's really good, that.
It's a fantastic piece of kit.
Now we know Mark's going to buy one.
Yeah, well, he buys everything anyway.
No. It all depends. No, it all depends how much it is.
It's €40.
Gonna do it. So it's quite at the minute.
It's got a built-in stand, so you can actually set it going and just leave it on your bench going. It's got basically almost like a clasp at the end of it, which you can put in front of the nozzle so you can actually concentrate the heat. Then you put your sprue in front of that, just pull it, job done.
Is that, I can't say, is that corded or is it cordless?
No, it's corded.
Yeah.
Right, so you got to plug it in.
Yeah.
Oh,
So see, the two heat settings is 70 to 100 degrees C, level 1, and 380 degrees C, level 2.
Yeah.
So you'd only need to have it at level 1 for flashing.
Mm-hmm.
Level 2
It's
to
just
doing
a
your
plug.
burgers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that's not a bad idea. You know, you could flash set your steaks on your plate, couldn't you?
Yes.
Whilst pulling sprue.
It says here, perfect for drying paint, decals, resin, wall parts, shrink wrap, and more. So if you've got wall parts, a little bit of heat, you can bend it back.
I always use the old hot water technique.
I just glue it for it.
Do you? What, it pulls it apart though?
I've never had that happen.
Have you not? Oh, right. Okay.
You know, when young Luke was going on about the little incident he had with the Tomcat,
Oh, yeah. Where,
bit of crack. I had exactly the same thing years ago on a Taco Antonov. I had a crack and the wings popped off.
I've had a similar incident where when you put your parts together and you run a little bead of Tamia and let it go off, and then for some reason the plastic just didn't like it. I don't know if it was definitely not ABS, I know that, but it didn't like it. And when I moved it, it cracked, and the bead of glue was tiny. There wasn't enough glue on it. So I'm now thinking whenever I start gluing big wing roots and all sorts of things together, I'm going to use the old Tamiya going on here. You know, the thick glue, the white one. Yeah, run that through and then clamp it up and then use Tam Fin. I don't know if there'll be an effect.
There are some model kits, like I know Hobbycraft model kits, not with in the store.
You're talking Ben's experience.
Ben's experience with what he did his P51.
Nothing to glue it.
Tamiya glue. Just nothing to glue it. He had to get a Mr. Hobby glue to be able to get it to bond.
Oh, right. Really?
I know modelers use just super glue. I mean, I'm not a big fan of that. It's not, me and super glue don't get on. That's the only reason. I'm not saying it's not the right thing to do, but
it's too brittle.
I just don't get on using super glue like that.
I've never yet met a kit, apart from once where I built, I think it was an ABS gun or something, not an ABS gun, it was ABS plastic. And it was one, actually it was from Manchester Model Shop, of all places. It was one of those replica guns that they used to have, which you can't get anymore here, because they look too flipping realistic, don't they?
Oh, do you mean like a one-to-one size?
Yeah, like it was an old...
A Walther PPP or whatever.
Yeah, so I think it's an American 1920-something Brown.
Brown.
Yeah, something like that.
Colt 45.
It was one where it actually had the working mechanism.
I think I know the one you...
Yeah, pulls back. But the thing was...
Even had the thing that... the magazine.
The cartridge, the magazine cartridge with all the bullets and stuff like that, plastic bullets, may I add. And I pulled back the action, and I pulled it too hard and snapped it, and it broke in half. And I could not find any glue that would hold it to. This is the days before super glue, and I could not fix it at all. So I ended up binning it. Not great, is it?
Going back to what I was actually...
Sorry, Brown.
Sorry, Brown. Yeah.
As per usual, every direction, like herding cats. Other purchases, I have just had notification from Qatari that my long-awaited Spitfire 5B has just been dispatched. So hopefully by the time of the next episode, it should be in my hands for all the way from New Zealand. So ordered that one the day it was actually announced, which was nearly 2 years ago, I think now.
Wow, was it?
You ordered 2 years ago.
About that.
It was
Blimey.
They had issues in production last year, so it got very delayed. But yes, it's been a while. But anyway, It's on its way up from New Zealand. And the other thing that I got is my chance to have a little rant is a Tamiya kit.
Oh, is this for the show?
Yes.
The Abrams.
The Abrams. Absolute nightmare. My original plan to do the 132nd Phantom, there was so much work needed to get what I wanted out of the kit. I wasn't going to rush it and spoil it. So I thought, right, put that to one side. I'll just get a quick off-the-shelf box. I'll do something I haven't done for a long time. I'll do an AFV. So I bought the Tamiya newly released Ukrainian M1A1 Abrams. Thought, right,
Very good.
simple, off the shelf, job done. You can't build a Ukrainian M1A1 because none of the parts that you need to make the Ukrainian version is in the box. All they've done is put the word Ukrainian on it, put a fictitious colour scheme, and a set of Ukrainian flags and what they thought might be markings they would use in the conflict into the box. So it's a complete and utter waste of money.
So,
How much was that?
I can't remember how much it was, but it was probably the best part of 40, 45 quid, I think.
really? It's
Yeah.
not like Tamiya to not get the calls right or the...
I mean, none of the armour that's actually on the tank is in the box. It's their original boxing of the kit.
Oh, right. So it's the American version.
It's the American kit.
Oh, right.
Completely.
You can do Desert Storm, I suppose, couldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. So I've had to go and get some decals to actually do a Desert Storm machine. But it's a case of, I was not expecting from
You were
Tamiya.
missold.
Well, totally. If you saw something like that from Tamiya on the shelf, would you think it's actually just for marketing?
Yeah. I wonder if their leopard kit's the same then.
Possibly. I don't know. But I just thought I'd try something different and quick. And it turned, as per usual, a sodding nightmare.
Yeah. Oh,
Field had the same issue with the Leopard 2A6 when they produced that for the Ukraine efforts. Half the stuff wasn't on it, so they had to sort of panic and now do something else.
Ryfield's also released an updated M1A1 because my idea was I'll get the Ryfield one, take the bits out of that box and put it onto the Tamiya kit to actually get the Tamiya build onto the table.
Mm.
Completely different shape. You can't cross-kit them. So
Did you not take the lid off the Ryfield kit and weld it on?
nope.
So basically, you just build the Ryfield kit then?
Yeah, I know, which would look really good on the Tamiya stand.
No. Yeah.
So it just turned into a complete. So if anyone wants an M1A1 Abrams from Ryfield Models, the Ukrainian late version, I've got one available.
Yeah. Please write in.
Might have it off you.
Yeah. Nevs will have it. He'll sell it on.
it.
Yeah, I probably will at this rate.
Yeah. Do the deal. Do the deal.
Anyway,
Same
so
though, that Abrams brand, I was just looking, that kit came out in 1982.
exactly.
Blimey, that was when it was being tested.
So it's literally a very early M1A1.
Mm.
And it's actually the date is stamped inside the hull, 1982.
Yeah, it's not like the old showroom that had the part in the Churchill that had the motor mounts in the back so you could motorise them.
I remember doing a Sherman Easy 8 from Tamiya, and it had, like you said, rubber tracks, but it was like 2C batteries you could put into it with a little plastic toggle at the back to switch it on and off. And you could drive it. There's a motor built in with a gearbox, and in fact, I've still got it now in the loft.
But it's because of the C-type batteries
Yeah.
that Tamiya went 1/35th rather than 1/32nd scale because they couldn't fit the batteries into a 1/32nd. So they upscaled it so it would actually fit the batteries. So that's why 1/35th became a thing.
So Tamiya were the only firm which they created their own scale.
They created 35th scale and everybody else jumped on board.
But yeah, do you know what? They missed the trick there. Should have trademarked it.
Well, that's why Board are now doing 35th scale aircraft, like with the Heinkel HG-111 and these Spitfire.
Anyway, yeah. With that, Mark, what have you got on your bench?
Sorry, but it's going to be nautical again. I've sacked off doing the little Wildcat because I've just fell out of love with it, basically. Just got a bit fed up. So I've got some little boats. A friend of mine is building a galleon ship from
Excellent.
Nelson's Navy. So he's asked me to do the ship's boats, the launch and the cutter. And
Hang on, he's building it, but you're building it.
Well, he's no time for these. I mean, if you saw these things, they are proper museum class things. So
Right.
the rigging on them would absolutely terrify you. They're all wood, and they're made out of pear wood. So these aren't cheap. You're looking at a kit, and these are probably going to be 12 or 1300 quid. Yeah, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hang on, does it come in like magazines and in 200 episodes?
No, not at all. It's a kit. It's a kit.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what's on the bench.
I don't think I've purchased anything added. No, I don't think I have. No. And on that bombshell, we'll be back in a few seconds after a few words for some of our sponsors with the Stash Inflation Report and the 2026 releases from Revell.
Sorry, Benchmates, but it's the Stash Inflation Report time again, where every announcement is a test of your willpower, and failure is practically guaranteed.
Right then, fasten your harnesses, check your fuel state and clear the runway because this month's aviation releases are absolutely stacked. If you thought your stash was safe, think again. We'll kick off with something very tasty indeed. Armour Hobby are bringing us an all-new mould Orca Hurricane Mark 1 Tropical in 1-48, covering the desert and Malta campaigns. And as we come to expect from Armour, exceptional surface detail, outstanding fit, proper research, and the signature model first engineering. This is a truly early war RAF workhorse, sun-beaten, sand-blasted, and absolutely perfect for the North Africa and Malta builds. If you've built armour before, you'll already know this one's going to be special. Edward are swinging hard this month, starting with the BF 109K4 Kurfürst dual combo in 72nd scale. A limited edition kit featuring 9 marking options, pre-painted photo etch, masks, Edward decals and dual kit boxing. Expected late February, and as always, once these are gone, they're gone. Next from Edward is the B25J Mitchell Straffer from the Hong Kong model series. This one's big news. The Edward HKM line continues a collaboration where Hong Kong models supply the moulds, Edward supply the magic, decals, photo etch, masks and instructions. This is the B29J Straffer coming in March with stock expected late February. Production numbers are limited to pre-orders only. Miss it and you'll be chasing it later. Now buckle up because Italia have gone full send this year. Here's just a snapshot of what's coming with the 2026 announcements. The 72nd scale highlights include the following: Mirage 2000D, Ju-88 A-17 torpedo bomber, Dornier 217K2 with the Fritz X and HS293, Ju-188 limited edition, KC-135R Stratotanker, EH-101 Merlin, CH-53E Super Stallion, F-104S Starfighter, RF-4C/E Phantom, AVA-B Harrier 2, F-15E Strike Eagle, F-18E Super Hornet, MiG-15, F-111A Aardvark, Rafale B, C-119 Fire Tanker, JS-39 Gripen D Twin-Seater, and more besides. That alone will be a full release schedule. But wait, here's the 48 scale highlights. Fiat CR42LW, which is new. Logs of 48 scale highlights include Fiat CR42LW, Reggiani RE2002, Messerschmitt BF109E4, Macchi MC202, Spitfire Mark 9 Aces, Fiat GR91R3, P40F Warhawk, P51D/K Mustang from the European Theatre, Cessna 1724 plane, F-35C Lightning II, which is new tool, and Savoia Marchetti S79 Spaverio, which is also new tool. That is not a release list, that is a statement of intent. And now something very exciting. Scalecraft Studios have officially announced their first ever kit, the English Electric Lightning F6, available in 1-48 and 1-32nd scale. Initially launching as a fully 3D printed resin, 2-part injection moulded clear canopy, Red Fox Studio instrument panels, and extremely high research fidelity. But here's the clever bit. Their long-term plan is a hybrid kit. Injection moulded fuselage on flying surfaces, resin for fine detail, highly accurate cockpit and systems, potential full Avon engine detail. The research phase alone has involved original blueprints, extensive photo archives, correct Martin Baker Mark IV seat detail, and proper airframe geometry. The planned markings are for number 5 Squadron XS899, which is in the grey-green camouflage, number 5 Squadron XR770, grey with a red tail, number 11 Squadron XR773, low vis, and number 74 Squadron XR768 in natural metal. This one's early days, but make no mistake, this could become the definitive Lightning kit. So that's your aviation roundup: classic RAF, Cold War icons, modern jets, heavy bombers, and one very exciting Lightning on the horizon. If your stash has just grew, that's not poor self-control, that's commitment to the aviation history. Right, with that, over to Dan for the armour releases.
Right then, time to roll the turrets, kick up some dust, and see what's been creeping into the armour aisle this week, because there's quite a lot to talk about. First up, Doug's Studio, who continue to quietly become one of the most useful names in modern armour detailing. 135th Kubelwagen worn tyres Type 1 for the men kit. Now this is a brilliant example of listening to modelers. After their worn Jeep tyres outsold the clean versions 6-1, Dukes have gone back and done the same for the Kubelwagen, and honestly it makes perfect sense. These feature smoothed, worn tread, knockdown edges, variable wear across the shoulder lugs, and a properly used look, not just scruffed rubber. Perfect for late war builds, North Africa, or anything that's seen a few too many miles on bad roads. 1/16th Stuart T55 E1 workable tracks. Now this one's a bit special, a rare track type for the M5 Stuart, and not something you see kitted very often. Dougs had success to real examples, including reference for the Bastogne barracks, and it really shows. They're fully workable, highly detailed, designed specifically for accuracy, not convenience. And in the maker's own words, I don't even know if these will sell, I just wanted them for my own Stuart, which is exactly the kind of energy we like to see. Next up, some beautifully observed modern figures from inside the armour, ITA 3. We've got Mali Militiaman 1, Mali Militiaman 2, or they come as a set of Mali militiamen. These are based on real reference photography from Mali 2021, depicting Dogon Abasugu militia fighters. Blimey, that was hard work. Digitally sculpted by Sergei Alenko in Ukraine. Printed by ITA 3 in the UK and Matters of Scale in the US. We like them. They're full of character, excellent cloth movement, and ideal for modern conflict dioramas, African theatre scenes, and standalone figure painting. And more scales are already planned. They're available from InsideTheArmour.com, mattersofscale.com, and ITA's eBay store. Now here's one for the diorama builders. Miniart have announced another standard end tractor, the 1936 row crop version, and it's a cracking little subject. I don't even think I've seen one of these in real life. This one gives you accurate pre-war agricultural configuration, full engine detail, photo etch parts, all the usual Miniart bits and pieces. Perfect for pre-war scenes, occupied Europe settings, or as a civilian vehicle pressed into military service, but you're going to have to paint it green. And importantly, it's another example of Miniart leaning into context pieces, not just combat vehicles. Worth flagging as well, Miniart's 148 figure range continues to grow. These are ideal for the aircraft dioramas, airfield scenes, and light armour vignettes. And honestly, it wouldn't surprise anyone if vehicles follow shortly to support them. The scale is gaining serious momentum, one of which I'm a massive fan of, as you all know. Now for something with real presence, Black Snake Model have dropped 2 brand new figure sets. Mayor's second Moroccan Tabor group. set during the liberation of Corsica 1943. They are beautifully posed, historically rich, ideal for Mediterranean World War II scenes. Something a little bit different. And we've got the Commando Red Devils 05, British Special Forces with aggressive stance, excellent kit and weapon detail. Perfect centerpiece figure. As always with Black Snake, you get in crisp sculpting, dynamic posing and paint-ready detail, and they're available at blacksnakemodel.com. And finally, the heavyweight, the Challenger 1 Mark III from Trumpeter. And this is a serious kit. This version represents the most refined variant of Britain's Cold War main battle tank, featuring Chobham composite armour, improved fire control systems, enhanced optics and thermal sights, all in a Gulf War era configuration. The kit details over 630 parts, so Wongy won't like that one. Multi-slide moulded hull and turret, individual track links, photo etch included, a copper tow cable, which is much better than the plastic one, and 14 sprues plus upper and lower holes. And historically, this tank proved its worth, of course, in Op Granby, taking on Iraqi armour with devastating effectiveness. It's a proper modeller's kit, this one, not a weekend build, but a very satisfying one. So that's your armour roundup from me. You've got worn tyres, rare tracks, modern militia, classic armour, and one very serious British tank. If your stash just got heavier, don't worry, that's not a problem, that's a commitment. And now over to Shane with the Gundam releases.
Thanks, Dan. Right, let's swing the spotlight firmly into mecha territory, because the plastic gods have been busy. And your wallet? Well, your wallet's about to have words with you. First up, something that looks like it escaped a design meeting halfway through a Gundam fever dream. The Wildfire model, ARZ 125 Rehaze. Yes, that is officially described as the original flavour crayfish, which is either inspired to genius or absolute chaos. This one's 144 scale. Don't know that for you. It's a chunky beast. 500 parts, 22 runners. Stands roughly 20 centimetres tall. And it comes packing with an absolutely enormous CSB cannon, measuring around 25 to 25.5 centimetres long. That gun alone is longer than some entire kits. Design-wise, it's angular, aggressive, and unapologetically weird. Very much in that modern, original universe mecha aesthetic. Release, looking at early February for this one, 26, pricing around £40 to £45. So the status on this one, currently got grey prototypes and parts previews already out, and the colour scheme reveals they're going to be following in mid-January. And for the lore nerds, yes, there is a backstory. In universe, the ARZ 125 Rehaze is a transformable model suit piloted by Alicia Zabi, armed with a high-velocity megaparticle cannon, kicking out 4 times the power of a standard beam weapon. So yes, subtlety is not the design brief here. Next up, and this one's got serious shelf presence written all over it, a master grade super deformed style kit from Endless Crate, including the Bile conversion, Barbatos Lupus Rex, and the rather tasty SL1 White Ghost. This is that sweet spot between master grade detail and super deformed attitude. You're getting approximately 140mm in height, pre-coated parts, variable colour headlamp, water sides, a lot of extras in this first batch. And when I say extras, I mean replaceable outer armour, extended claws, wing thrusters, metal bellows, twin swords, a giant hammer. Yes, a giant hammer. Pre-order price around £40, which, honestly, for the parts, counts and accessories, that is dangerously good value. These are the sort of kits that start as a quick build, somehow they just turn into that month-long detailing project. And finally, something that's going to make a lot of the old school mecha fans sit up and pay attention. The Bandai teased us with a real grade Patlabor EZY, timed neatly alongside the reveal of the anime project. All we've seen so far is a dark teaser image, the real grade branding, and confirmation that it's a refit of the E98 Ingram. No price or release date available yet, but if it follows Bandai's recent RG quality curve, this could be very special. Modern engineering applied to one of the most iconic real robot designs ever made. And let's be honest, if you built Patlabor back in the day, this is absolutely aimed at you. So that's it. This episode's Mega Damage Report. Big guns, big designs, bigger temptation. If your stash didn't grow this week, then congratulations, you're showing restraint. Everyone else, I'll see you at the checkout. With that, here's Nevs with the nauticals.
Cheers, Shane. Right, folks, from grey steel to stealth ships, and from Cold War frigates to battleships that technically never existed. It's time to head to sea. And fair warning, this one's dangerous. First up, and a real treat for Royal Navy fans. Starling Models have announced 2 new Leander-class frigates, expanding on their superb 2024 release. Coming soon are HMS Apollo, as she appeared in 1972, and HMS Leander, the lead ship in the series, as she appeared in 1968. Both kits are 1:700 scale waterline. They will feature resin cast hulls, photo etches included. There are 3D printed parts and will have full decal sheets provided. These are beautifully researched ships representing the Leanders at 2 distinct stages of their careers. And just as ever with Starling, they're aimed squarely at the serious ship modeler. If you've built their previous releases, you already know the standard. Now, this one's for the naval what-if crowd. Chuan Yu model ship have announced 1:350 of scale 3D printed main turrets for HMS Thunderer, a British super battleship concept armed with 457mm guns. If that name rings a bell, yes, fans of a certain online warship game may recognise her as the spiritual successor to the Lion class. The upgrade set includes highly detailed 3D printed turrets, brass gun barrels, and crisp surface detailing. And if ordering directly from China isn't for you, there is good news, as these will also be available from Australian distributors at very sensible prices. This is absolutely perfect for speculative builds or what might have been Royal Navy projects. Next up, diving beneath the waves, Hobby Boss have announced a brand new tooling of the Type 093 Shang class nuclear attack submarine in 1:700th scale. This is a modern PLAN boat, and Hobby Boss have a strong track record when it comes to submarines. Good proportions, clean moulding, sensible breakdowns. It's a very welcome addition for modern naval builders, submarine collectors, or anyone just wanting something a bit more contemporary on the shelf. It's silent, sleek, and very much on trend. Now here's one for the lovers of the weird and the wonderful. OKB Grigorov are releasing the Sea Shadow IX-529, the experimental US stealth ship. And yes, it's just as odd in model form as it is in real life. The kit includes just 6 resin parts, clean, sharp casting, minimal cleanup, and maximum shelf presence. It's perfect for Cold War oddities, modern naval collections, and, let's be honest, wongy. If you've never built OKB Grigorov before, they specialise in unusual subjects done very well. Next up is something properly quirky. Micromere are producing a 1:72nd scale Grillo-class torpedo boat, and early test shots look fantastic. The highlights will include injection moulded parts, side-mounted torpedoes, a highly detailed hull, and its famous bow-mounted wheels. Yes, actual wheels. These were designed by the Italian Navy to let the boat climb over harbour defences, making this an absolute gift for diorama builders. If you like your naval modelling with a bit of madness mixed in, this one is a must. And finally, after I speculated last year for Jimmy, I have confirmed a 1:700th full hull Mogami class cruiser, and they'll be starting with the IJN Suzuya in its 1944 fit. You can expect 10 8-inch guns, an extensive anti-aircraft fit, a late war configuration, and, above all, a proper full hull presentation. The release is expected by the end of April, and if this sells as well as expected, we might finally see the rest of the Mogami class follow. For IJN fans, just like me, this is definitely big news. So that's your naval roundup. Frigates, submarines, stealth ships, what-if battleships, and one very overdue Japanese heavy cruiser. If your shipyard just got busier, it's not poor planning, it's just fleet expansion. And that's where we would normally close our collective wallet, but not this time. Here's Brownie and our special guest, Luke Slaney-Hewitt from Revell, with even more to look forward to in 2026. This could get messy.
Well, Benchmates, we are joined yet again by a friend of the show, Luke Slaney-Hewitt from Revell. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. I can't even remember what time of the day it is. Hello.
Hello. Nice to be back.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're going to run through the aviation releases for Revell for 2026. Hopefully you're going to give us a few little bits of insider knowledge on what we're actually talking about. But unfortunately for you guys, we're looking at a PowerPoint presentation that Luke Slam sent us. And we can't share it because there's lots of interesting information that you guys are not allowed to see. But hey-ho, with that, I will hit the button and we'll just run through the first few items which are on the list, which we talked about in the November update, which was for the first part of the year. So obviously starting the year in January with the Eurofighter Typhoon FGR-4 in 48th in the colour schemes of Moggy. So that's a good starting point in the display scheme.
This also comes with a standard jet. So it's the same serial, which is 913, I believe, as a standard grey jet, because not everyone likes super decals, as we call them. So it's always nice to be able to offer to both sides of the market.
Yeah, indeed. Is it cartograph decals in this one?
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, moving on, he says... Let's go back, that's all gone horribly wrong. You have the 132nd BF-109G coming back out.
Yeah, a straight re-release of the original boxing, same schemes, obviously updated manual box, and the decals are cartograph once again. So the same as the previous release, but with a nice bit of a refresh and hopefully very reliable, decent decals.
Okay. And then also in February, we have the Lockheed L1049G Super Constellation in Lufthansa markings for the 100th anniversary.
Yes. So Lufthansa are celebrating 100 years of operation. The pedants amongst you will point out that it's not the same Lufthansa as it was in 1926, but the name, the mark has been around for that long. So we have two products coming out in the year, the Super Constellation and also something more modern, which we'll get to. The Super Connie's not been out for a while in our range. It's unique to us, so it felt only right to bring it back with the 100 years of Lufthansa. That also is so many airlines, as we know, and it's a bit of an icon of the skies. So, yeah.
And even in 1/144th, it's a reasonable size model.
Exactly, yes.
Okay. Right, and then still in February, we have the SR-71 Blackbird coming back out, but in the B variant.
Still very much a Blackbird for those that aren't experts on the type. More of a humpback style cockpit. It was the trainer variant. I believe there are only two used, if you don't include the third one, which was referred to as the Bastard, because it was a hodgepodge of two aircraft, I believe, after one of the original Bs crashed.
Yeah. And this one's coming in both US Air Force and NASA decals.
Yeah. We have to try and spice up a aircraft like the Blackbird a bit. There's not a whole lot you can do in terms of special decal schemes. True. Old specialty. So, yeah, a NASA flag and some US Air Force markings is as far as you can go.
Okie dokie. And then in March, we have a nice, was listed as a limited edition, 1/72nd scale B-52 and X-15 combo.
Yeah, so it's quite a rare kit nowadays. Obviously, it heralds from the sort of monogram era. but it's not been out in a very long time, and you can see on the second-hand market just how much they're going for. So it's a nice package. That it comes with photo etch and masks. The photo etch covers all of the engines and also some pre-painted cockpit etch as well for those that really want to seal it up and never see it again, plus some canopy masks for both aircraft.
Indeed. And also, it's an interesting colour scheme for B-52 with the day-glow patches on the wings, nose and the tail. But also, was it the fuel tanks on the side of the X-15, which are red and white?
Yes. The aircraft on the box front is Balls 3, and then the more famous one is Balls 8, the longest serving of any airframe, I believe, in the end, in terms of flying hours. So, yeah, rather unique. You don't see many B-52s painted up in high-vis.
Indeed, indeed. And it'll be a really sizable piece when it's actually finished.
Yes, you'll need more than a windowsill to put it on.
Okay, and then we move to one of the paper airplane designs from World War II in 1/72nd scale for March, the Focke-Wulf TL Jaeger Flitzer.
Yes, so this is the third in our range of the P-Series. P-Series being the Luftwaffe 1946 subjects, or just prototype series. We have a whole range of these from the late 90s, I believe. This one hasn't been out since 2008. And again, it's a straight re-release, as most of the P-Series are. Kits that haven't been around for a while, with the original decal design, I should say, obviously reprinted. Don't worry, we haven't just found the stash out the back from 2008. We have reprinted them with cartograph. And yeah, it definitely serves a niche end of the market, as I say, unique to us at Revell. And the Flitzer, I don't know if the guys on the call are good with their German, but one of my colleagues pointed out it's essentially means streaker, as in running across a rugby field with no clothes. Don't try that at the stadium on Sunday, guys. I don't want to see any streakers at the show.
Especially with the cold weather we're expecting, that's just going to be a horrible sight. And I need some mind bleach just even thinking about that one. Okay, moving on, we have your Blue Angels 80th anniversary boxing of a FA-18E Super Hornet and the F6F-5 Hellcat, which is an interesting combination, but also, as we discussed back in November, you didn't actually have a Hellcat.
No, we have a good relationship with Edwards, whereby they've supplied decals, aftermarket press, and obviously they've reboxed kits of ours for many years. That relationship was existing, and when it came to finding something for the 250th anniversary of the USA, and it's also the 80th anniversary of the Blue Angels, the set came about as an idea of celebrating both of those anniversaries. A Hellcat, as you say, we don't have one, and the idea of the set is being able to celebrate the history. So the first aircraft and the current aircraft that they're full of. And the Edward one is considered to be the best 7-second Hellcat out there. And because of the relationship, it worked really well. So, we're not hiding that. And our F-18 is also considered to be quite a good 7-second kit as well. I think originally when the artwork for this came out, there was a sort of a sketch that the artist had done. He'd originally drawn the earlier generation of Hornet. And everyone's going, well, that's the wrong one. And I had to quickly correct him before he finished the artwork.
Whoops. But obviously, as it's a gift set, it's coming not only with the kits, but also adhesive and paints as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it comes with everything you need. Obviously, it's targeted at a wide range of the market. People that are experts and like the idea of the first and current aircraft, the Blue Angels, but also beginners or novices, shall we say.
Yeah. Okay, nice little set there. And in April, we are looking at 1144th Puma being released, or re-released rather.
Yeah, talking of little sets, this is a very small model when it's built up, 144 Puma. It's not been out for a while. We're doing 2 schemes in the kit. So you get the one that's pictured on the front, which is a Northern Ireland one, and it's actually a preserved example. It's now at the Ulster Aviation Society. Always fine. I call out for them where I can, and also a Gulf War variant, mainly because we're not running out of decal sheet space at that point. They're all very small, so we can fit them all quite nicely.
Yeah. And looking at the artwork that you've supplied us, it's a 230 Squadron machine, which is rather nice, one of the Tigers. But also there's a Gulf War scheme, yes, a Northern Ireland scheme in the box as well.
Yes.
Okay. So On to a slightly larger scale, 1/32nd, and in April we have the Messerschmitt ME262A-1A/U4, which I think Luke put it when we actually talked about it back in November, has a sodding great gun on the front of it.
Yes, yeah. A big old cannon, I think, derived from sort of smaller panzers into the aircraft. Very much one of the almost wonder weapons. Last days of the Reich, try anything to turn the tide of the war, really. And so we have just signed off the molds on this as we record, and they are being shipped to Germany. In terms of decal schemes, we have 3 versions, actually. So we have the original German markings, then we have the captured markings, and then the subsequent repainting of that machine. So there are sort of 3 or 2.5 versions within the kit, which makes for a bit of variation. There are actually only ever 2 made. We've focused on one specific airframe and all the schemes that it was seen to wear, rather than trying to squeeze on the other one at the same time. The one we haven't covered actually has a bare metal nose that's been puttied over along the panel lines, but I'm sure aftermarket will deal with that. But yeah, so it uses our original 262 tooling from, I believe, 2016 or around then. And the single seat has become something of a rarity. So we're going to try and keep all the parts from that in the kit and then add the nose parts as well. So if you so wish, you could build a standard or an A2. So trying to give the modelers as much option as possible.
Oh, that's good. I like that. Okay. And next in April, we also have another 1/144th, which is the second of the Lufthansa 100th anniversary aircraft, which is an A350-900 gift set.
Yes, so as we speak, this is in the real world. 1-to-1 aviation is being painted up in, I believe it might be France. So we're going to do a super decal for this to cover off the huge crane that runs down the side and over the top, and obviously has the 100 years elements incorporated into the livery. We'll also be including some of our specialist paints, specifically colour matched to the Lufthansa blue in a dropper bottle, because if you see the scheme, you'll see why you need so much blue. Again, this is the second in the range of 100 years of Lufthansa products. Lufthansa are actually painting up 6 different aircraft types in a special livery, all very similar. So the first one to come out was the 787, and then I believe the A350 and the A320 are next, before they'll do a 747 and an A380 and something else. Can't remember what it was.
747 in that scheme is going to take a hell of a lot of blue paint.
Yes, there's some lovely videos. I implore people to go search them out on YouTube by Lufthansa, showing the painting of the 787, and also they have a rendered video of all 6 of these aircraft flying together. Wow. With some of the radio chatter, which, Paul, I'm sure you can pick apart.
I'm saying nothing. Okay then, and moving on. So one of the first new announcements for May, we have the re-release of the 1/144th C-17 Globemaster 3 in RAF and Australian decals.
Yes, so this is a bit of a surprise to me how in demand this kit is. As I explained to people, every time I come to re-release a kit, I have to buy multiple examples. One for the production sample to show the factory what it should look like, one for checking the instructions, another, at least 2 for the builds in Germany and the UK. And that can become quite expensive. So I'm happy the company foots the bill, especially with these C-17s, because they were going for more than £100 second hand.
Wow.
It's a sizable model for 144, as I'm sure you can appreciate. But yeah, it felt right for a re-release. Obviously, it's still very much in service around the world. So yes, bring it back with Australian decals. That will actually be the box front scheme. We have a lovely illustration coming out showing it landing in Antarctica, I believe. And we also have standard sort of RAF markings as well. We're sort of limited by the kit's age, in that the world hasn't stood still, and the C-17 fleet has had a number of upgrades since this kit was originally designed, or lots of lumps and bumps down the spine, essentially, which aren't in the kit. So when we pick the decal options, we have to make sure we're choosing age-appropriate ones, which sounds like there's rude figures on them. What I mean by that is the upgrades haven't been implemented on the aircraft we're showing. Yeah, and the C-17, our model, obviously you can button it all up, you can have the ramps down. It's fully customizable in that way.
Yep, and this was last released by Revell in 2011, I believe. But also, I'm not sure if you're aware, but this year is the 25th anniversary of it entering RAF service.
I'll claim I did.
In that case, that's a no then. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of aftermarket decals coming out for this, and also the aftermarket guys will be coming out with the extra lumps and bumps that you're talking about.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so moving on. We have the Junkers JU290A-5/7 Seedler.
Yeah, that's what we were saying with the Messerschmitt. They love catchy names, the Germans. But Seedler means sea, I believe, in German.
Okay.
So there you go. I'll impart that knowledge on you today. Again, this is one of those kits that is unique to Revell, really highly rated, and just hasn't appeared in our range for a very long time. Not entirely sure why. Obviously, it's not the most popular type. The Lancasters and B-17s will outsell it, I'm sure, but you do need to dust off the tooling every now and then and bring it out. Fascinating aircraft, obviously, reconnaissance, transport. The A7 was actually used as a bit of a spy aircraft. I believe the original boxing, we did call it spy plane. And the A7 also has a capture delivery in, so one that was captured, flown to France, then flown across the Atlantic and displayed in the US as part of their sort of captured German aircraft on the ground air show, shall we say, that they had. So you can find some lovely colour pictures of it after that crossing. And so we've again included 2.5 decal schemes, one for an A5, one for an A7, and then the captured A7 as well. So that should keep people happy. One thing we've done with this boxing that's worth noting is the A5 and the A7 were 2 separate boxings originally. We've combined them together just because it doesn't seem worth bringing out 2 releases for it because it's quite niche. So we'll put all the parts in one box and let people decide what they want to do.
Okay, well, this one hasn't been in your range since, I believe, 2009, but I recall seeing some video of this aircraft, the American captured one. If you look online, I think it was a post-war or immediately at the end of the war air show at Edwards Air Force Base where they had a lot of aircraft they'd captured, and I'm sure there's footage of this aircraft actually flying.
Ah, okay, yeah. Wouldn't surprise me. Unfortunately, it was scrapped.
Yes.
It's a shame.
Indeed, and it's an impressive beast. It really is. Okay, moving on. 1/32nd scale, the Heinkel HE111P1. Hasn't been out for a few years now, at least.
Yeah, again, a big gap between when this was last out to now. And this is a straight re-release, really. So it will come out in this original boxing. Obviously, we've updated box and manual and decals, as we said, but the schemes will remain the same. Again, the demand for this, it's one of the things I get asked about the most at shows and on forums. And it's a big beast. I've just had to drive one over to Germany to get it to Nuremberg because I didn't trust UPS to get it there in one piece.
I wonder why.
Yeah, exactly. Well, even the box I was transporting it in, I had to cut holes to have the wingtips sticking out the sides. It's just a very, very big thing, but a great project to take on. And I think quite reasonable. We're looking at about €70 for the re-release price, which for us, size and number of parts is not bad at all.
Indeed. Okay, and that's due for a release in July. And also in July, we have the Hawker Hunter T7A.
Yes, so as we record this, I have first shots here in my office, and I'll bring some up to the Bolton show, and there'll also be a model on display at Nuremberg, which is when this episode will go out. I think we've spoken about it at length before, but obviously it's based on the 1997 tooling with a new nose, new tail cone, and some other bits and bobs to stick on, with 3 schemes, 2 RAF and 1 Dutch, and retailing about £50, which is
bargain.
Yes.
Absolute bargain. And the Blue Diamond scheme, I'm really looking forward to because I've been helping your man with some research and some details on it.
Yes. Yeah, there we go. So we have a wraparound scheme, obviously, as we're looking at this presentation, but I'm aware the audience aren't. We have the T7A, which is the Buccaneer Training Squadron. So we have different parts in the cockpit to allow for that. For those that don't know, one side of the instruments was taken out and replaced with Buccaneer instruments as part of the training role. And then a standard T7 for the Blue Diamonds, and then a Dutch T7, which we've actually had some great help from Soesterberg Museum over in the Netherlands. They have an original one that's never been repainted, so worth its weight in gold for stencil information.
Absolutely. An aircraft that has been conserved rather than preserved is worth its weight in gold, as you say. It really is. Keeping it in the original state, even if it does look tatty, it's absolutely gold. It really is. Okay, moving on then. We have another new tool, which is a 1/72nd scale Messerschmitt Bf 109E-3.
Yeah, so this was announced last year at Nuremberg. Design's been going on. It's part of our drive to increase sales at the other end of the hobby to what we're used to as sort of enthusiasts, shall we say. We have to cater for the younger end. And yes, whilst you'll go on forums and people say, oh, another 109, as they do with another Spitfire, these are the bread and butter of the hobby. This is what gets you into it. This is what you start on.
Yeah.
And just because our competitors have them, that, as you'll see on forums, people say, well, that doesn't make any money for brand X. But it's very right. We need a 109E. We're a German company. We don't have a German fighter at 72nd to complement our more recent tooling. So it seemed a no-brainer, really, to put it into the range. And we'll have a couple of different boxings coming out over the next few years. So the standard one, the E3 that we're bringing out this year, will be at about the £10 mark. And it'll be single scheme, no sort of internal engine detail. But we have tooled up a little engine and some guns so you can have panels off if you want. And that will come out in a sort of more complex boxing around between 12 and 15, yet to be decided, with a couple of schemes with drop tanks and bombs and whatever. So for the more advanced model, we'll sort of try and cater to both ends of the market with that. The images at the moment that are going around are still work in progress. The designer is desperately trying to clear it off his desk before the end of January, and then we can hit the August target, hopefully.
Fantastic. Okay, then. Moving on, we have for September 1/72nd scale Handley Page Halifax B Mark III, which hasn't been out since 2015.
No, exactly. I think a lot of people have been calling for a re-release of the Halifax, if you ignore the calls for a newly tooled one. So we've got two schemes coming out with this one. Friday the 13th, which is a bit of a fan favourite, and we're great friends with the guys over at Elvington. We have their version of it, and then also an Australian squadron as well. Again, Halifax is unique to us if you ignore some of the older offerings from Matchbox and Airfix. Obviously, this is the only modern tooling, shall we say. I believe the one or the two had some issues with the engines. Martin III was the more accurate of the two kits, hence bringing that one back rather than the other one. But yeah, hopefully people are glad to see this come back.
Fantastic. Okay, moving on. We have the 1/32nd scale Westland Puma HC1, which was the original Matchbox tooling, which hasn't been out since 2012.
Now take me money now. Spend me money now. Bloody hell, I'll have 5.
I told you. I said he'd actually wake up, didn't I?
Yeah.
It's not the only one.
I thought I'd make some happy people on the call here. Yes, so it was way overdue for a re-release. Way overdue. And what we're going to do with this is combine all the parts. So obviously original Matchbox tooling, as you say. Revell then tooled German parts to go on for the German police. So some extra flotation, some different sponsons. We're going to whack it all into the same box. And we are going to essentially keep the same schemes as what were in the original Matchbox, in that we'll have a RAF camo, we'll have a French scheme as well, but we'll also do the German scheme. Got to keep our native to where the company's based happy. So yeah, hopefully a very nice mix of schemes in there. And we're calling this as part of Revell Classics, which is a sort of label that's gradually working its way into the range, where we're trying to identify tooling that is slightly older, but definitely highly regarded, unique to Revell. And it's our way of trying to be more honest with some of the boxings. And also the good thing here is that the price is also slightly reduced for classics. So we're looking at about 40 quid, which is not bad for a 32nd Puma.
I'll tell you what, Lou, you've just made a 13-year-old Wongi really happy. Because I could never get hold of one of these things. And then the last one I actually saw was about 3 years ago at Telford, and it was going for stupid cash, and I thought, no, forget it, because it was going for 3 times what you're selling it for.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, as I say, people will flock to buy them. Yeah, by chucking everything in the same box, we're not going to try eke it out. We just want to make everyone happy straight away. Put as many marking options, as many parts in as we can. It does make doing the manual a nightmare because, the amount of steps you have to say, if you're doing the German one, skip this step and this step. Yeah, it takes a bit of getting your head round rather than just re-releasing a manual. But I'm excited for this one as well. Yeah, it's prime time to do it with us just retiring them in the UK the other year. The Germans are very familiar with them. And actually, one of the German aircraft was leased to the Republic of Ireland. I think it was for one of the Pope's visits there. So you can actually find a German police one in Irish markings, which I might try and include. I haven't got the decal sheet finished on this yet, so I might try and sneak it in.
That'll be a natural.
Yeah, I like that.
It's also good, Luke, as well, that you've bundled all the variants into one box, because on the German ones, there's a lot of antennas for the RAF ones. So all you need to do then is just get, hopefully, if people are listening, is to just give us instrument panel and HC2, because everything's in the box. All you need is a new instrument panel, which has got digital dials on it, screens. That is it. That's the only difference. But all the externals are in that box.
Me being a nerd here, is the engine deck not slightly different on HC2? I think there's some modifications at the top there. I might be wrong.
But there's a few lumps and bumps, but if you're a good modeler, there's nothing.
Milliput is your friend.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong. And to be honest, most people will do it because he's got full engines and gearbox and everything else. Most people do them with the engine calves open anyway, so you don't really see them. But yeah, the German one contains all the parts of the antennas and everything else for the HC2.
I think the most recent build I saw was one for the Hong Kong police, maybe. I might be wrong, but it looked spectacular. I had quite a few requests come in showing me pictures of that particular build saying, come on, re-release it. I will say it did influence me, but it was already on the radar.
I tell you what, Luke, do the Hong Kong scheme as well. I'll have it with that.
I might have to start raising the price with all the stuff we're checking in.
You're getting the kit, don't be greedy.
There's an optional extra, Luke. Do a decal sheet, a Revell decal sheet, and just have it as a separate sheet. People will pay for it.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
Fantastic. Okay then, so that's a September release. Also, moving on to November. 1/32nd scale Eurofighter Typhoon, which is a re-release of a previous kit, but includes the weapons frame previously only included in the 2-seater release.
Yes, so bringing this back out. So again, a big gap over a decade since this was last out on the market. I believe there are 2 OBCRs and trumpeters. I will say I'm slightly biased, but I think ours is the better model.
It's Luke. It is. Yours doesn't contain rivets like the trumpeter one does. The trumpeter one is a rivet fest because they've done it without any composite filler over the wings. So they've just looked at it and gone, yep, it's riveted. It's horrendous. That is the best 32nd Eurofighter Typhoon kit that has ever been on the market.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for the endorsement. We're going to bring it back with German and RAF markings as was in the original release, but we're going to update them slightly. So I was looking at the markings for this the other day. The German scheme, we are going to do the Steinhoff 500,000 flying hour scheme, and then also another standard Richthofen scheme. And then for the RAF, I believe we're doing 9 Squadron with the cherry red codes because I really like those. And is it 1435 flights down in Falklands as well?
Yes.
So
I thought you were going to say 41 Squadron then. I was going to say, I'll just give you my bank card now.
Well, the beauty of the Typhoon is once you've done all the stenciling, really for the individual squadrons or individual aircraft, there's not a whole lot of variation. So we could really go to town with it and just include almost all the squadrons. I'll see how much space we've got on the sheet.
And it's just with a 41 Squadron, the test and evaluation squadrons, so they generally have specific colourful tails where they've got loads of stuff on them.
Yeah, this might be where we can't do too much in terms of special markings. When it's codes, when it's, for the German ones, different numbers up near the front, that's fine. Obviously, when you get into decorative tails, it's a lot of real estate on the sheet. So
they completely get it.
We have to be careful. But we're trying to be as flexible as we can with it to give people as many options as possible, but also without annoying the aftermarket. We've got to leave something for them.
We'll have to have a word with Petr from ASK and see if he can get some stuff knocked up for us. That shouldn't be a problem. Right. Oh, there will be. I can guarantee that. And the final release is another new tooling, 1/144th scale Boeing B777-9.
Yeah, so this is the biggest twin-engine jet to ever fly, I believe is the fact that goes around, or the biggest airliner, twin-engine airlines to ever fly. And the engines on it, you'll find the picture online of the General Electric special engines that they have for this. Essentially, they're the same width as a 737's fuselage, which is just crazy when you see them compared to each other. At the moment, we're starting design on this. We've been hampered a bit because the actual aircraft has been delayed. So this was originally due to come out earlier in the year, but that's hard to do when you haven't started design. So we've had to push it back. We've been waiting on final CAD from Boeing. And if you know what's going on with the 9, you'll know that they're waiting on certification from the FAA at the moment. There's been all sorts of delays, but we're getting there. And so we'll probably do what we normally do with airliners, which is the Boeing test delivery, and then obviously specific airline partnerships that we do. Obviously, British Airways is always one that we look at, and Lufthansa as well, being our two main markets, Germany and Britain. For those that don't know the aircraft, not only is it a very big twin-engine jet, it also has folding wingtips, which is a first ever on an airliner. The reason for that being that they wanted it to fit into existing infrastructure within airports, and the increased wingspan wouldn't allow that. So when it's on the ground, it has to fold its wingtips to get around without knocking out any lights or buildings. But yeah, looking forward to this one.
Indeed. Nice. Well, I think you can honestly say that's an interesting cross-section of subjects that you're bringing out this year. Are there any plans for any sneaky little things cropping in as well through the year, as other manufacturers do?
So, in all honesty, nothing at the moment that is concrete, and nothing that will come out in 26. But there is an idea that we might announce something for 27 and do something a bit different to what we normally do. But I can't say.
No, I understand.
I'm thinking as I'm speaking.
Steady.
If you were here, you could see the steam coming out my ears.
Come on, Brownie, turn up the thumb screws.
But yeah, hopefully we'll announce something within the first 4 months of the year. And then it will be interesting to see how it goes and where it takes us. But when I say that, I'm talking aircraft and I'm talking bigger scales. But that's all I'll give you.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, obviously for Real Space, we are waiting for the launch of the Artemis 2, which is now on the pad. And obviously you've got that in the range at the moment as well. But we're not expecting anything new for this year because unless you get a license with Mr. Musk, obviously you're not going to be releasing anything that's in modern circulation.
Yes, exactly. I think we've spoken before about the complexities about licensing with people like SpaceX and other space agencies. But yeah, I think come Artemis 3, should it happen, I really hope it does, when there should be a lunar module, something to go to the lunar surface, then that will probably be where we're looking for the next real space item. But we can only move as fast as the real world. And, the fact it hasn't been created yet is a tad worrying.
Yes.
For the prospects of us landing on the moon.
Give it time.
Originally scheduled for 2027, which it doesn't feel achievable now. But yeah, hopefully this decade.
Okay. Final question from me. When we talked previously, you were talking about Revell putting out some STL files for home printing, etc. And you mentioned the wingtips for the 737 and some fairings for the 132nd Meteor. Are they available now?
Not at the moment. So we've just launched a new website, which has taken a bit of time. But yeah, there is every intention to use the QR codes that are now appearing on the side of the boxes to be able to direct to that sort of thing. So we're talking internally, trying to get that working. It's not a fast-moving thing, but it is still there. It's still due to happen, definitely this year. As soon as we have anything, I will let you know, and you can post about it, and we'll be posting on the Revell socials. But the design part isn't the difficult thing for us. It's the technology side of it, trying to get the IT team to make it workable.
Yeah.
But it is coming.
Fantastic. Okay, well, one of our benchmates has posted when we said that we were bringing the episode forward to include the arranged release. Aussie scale models from, obviously, Australia, big as the name, says he's just building the new 172nd F-35 in Australian markings. And please pass on, I'm loving the build so far. The engineering is absolutely amazing in the kit.
Well, that's good. That's very nice to hear. Thank you very much. Yeah, and I'm glad we could bring a specific Australian markings option as well. We did a second boxing other than the main release to cater for some more specific markets like Australia, Switzerland, and Norway, I believe.
Cool. Okay. Well, with that, Luke, thank you very much for your time yet again, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Cheers, Luke.
Cheers.
Are you looking for top quality paints for your next project? Then look no further than the Scale Modeler Supply. Hi, I'm Scott, and as a passionate modeler myself, I've spent years creating the SMS product range, designing them specifically with a scale modeler in mind. We've worked extensively to develop our acrylic lacquer paint range to not only be airbrush ready straight out of the bottle, but also to be very easy to use so that anyone of any skill level can create professional results with minimal effort. Just give the bottle a good shake, pour into your airbrush and spray at 15 psi. So dive into your next project with confidence, knowing that you're backed by one of the finest hobby paints on the market. Head over to our website scalemodeler.com.au to check out our full range and to find your closest retailer.
Fishkop Models, elevating scale modeling to an art form. Experience highly detailed 3D printed upgrade parts that bring true authenticity to your builds. Creators of the acclaimed Rolls-Royce Merlin engine set for both the Kotare Spitfire and the Dambusters set for the Border Models Avro Lancaster. For bespoke design and printing, our service is as precise as it is personal, all at a reasonable price. Please take a look at our products on www.fishkopcompany.de. Shipping is available for all of our products worldwide.
So, joining us now, we're absolutely delighted to welcome Petr Herrmann and his son, Petr Herrmann Jr. from ArtScaleKit, better known to most of us as ASK. Petr is the mind behind some of the most innovative 3D printing, ultra-thin decals, and problem-solving tools in modern scale modelling, and proof that great ideas often come from the workbench, not the boardroom. Gentlemen, welcome to Beyond the Box Art. So let's jump in with the first question. Let's start at the beginning. What made you start ASK, and what annoyed you most as a modeler before it existed?
It is a very long story. The story began 33 years ago. And at several points I'm not really proud of, but of course the result is on the end ASK. And that's for me the final goal actually. And now I have to translate my song a little bit.
Okay.
It would be Eduard. Just the growth of Nimitz.
Yeah, so it really began in Germany 33 years ago, when Karel Bádar from Eduard, he also is the one responsible for E-Day in Czech Republic. He approached my father because they knew each other from Czech Republic, from model competitions and things like that. They needed a distributor in Germany. And he approached my father and they began a partnership, and that's kind of the beginning point, which in the end resulted in my father forming ASK production. Because my father used to work for the German court system, and this he basically did. Yeah, but he started to do it for fun because he was a passionate modeler. And from that, really, it evolved into a second job, basically. Okay, but after that, I worked 25 years in Germany as a Eduard distributor. And in the best time, I was the second one biggest client for Eduard in Czech Republic.
But after 25 years, very successful work, I get a little bit burned out. And this time I got an offer. And the result was that translation. Yeah, he got an offer and he basically got an advance payment, a part of the whole payment. But basically the end result was that my father lost 25 years of his work and had to start again. But after that, my father got an offer from the Czech Republic, from one of the model kit companies here, to work with them on a modernization of their company. And the experiences in that company then resulted in what ArtScaleKit is now. Yeah, but based on the kind of the, how do I say this? The relationship between the people in the company led to my father forming a third company again. Yeah. Yeah, and last that I founded 5 years ago with distribution. And of course, with difficult start again, because, the activities before, also they have their ways. And I have to find a completely new way, new information channels. It was really hard work, but of course, the work is my life.
Yes, I fully get that. And now you're actually busy destroying part of the factory with a big drill to make more space because it's actually proving such a popular company.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, but my father would really like to dwell on all the history. He would speak on the things that we do now, the workings of the company.
Yep, sure. Okay, in that case, I'll ask the next question is, ASK is known for solving problems we didn't even realize could be solved. Where did these ideas come from? Is it from frustration when you're sat at the modeling bench?
Yes, of course, partly. Because you need an idea to solve some problems, and the modern time made it possible to work with new technologies we was dreaming on 10 years ago. And but before I was busy with rebuild the Czech company, also to build a German company, and I don't have really time to be active modeler. The time I have now, of course, my main job in the day over is the administrator. I don't really like it. And firstly on evening or late in the evening, when everyone are sleeping, then I have my space to create, also to think about and to try this or this, and to think about new technologies and how we can use it maybe for the next further.
Okay, perfect.
About the ideas or about the products, of course, yes.
The foam wheel well plugs, which are such a brilliant idea and simple, when did you first make them? And did you think, why hasn't anybody else made this before?
Yeah, but I am not sure if it is really my idea, because 40 years ago I was a 10-year-old boy. We don't have such tools like today. I got in this time the first very simple airbrush. It was absolutely new technique. And of course, the first matter I made was by the airbrush was the wheelbase, for example. So I tried several tricks, and the result was, and I'm not sure if it came from an other friend from me, modeler too, because I was in the child and modeler group, and that if I was or anybody else, that we cut with scissors, that we cut simply with scissors from an old form from a bed. We were sleeping on this house. Yeah. So very primitive stoves. Disaster. So it was just basically a very primitive form of the foam wheel by masks. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that it was 40 years ago, and 5 years ago, also I, of course, I get the idea, the vision. We have a laser cutter, and it would be possible to cut this item with laser cutter. But in this time, I founded kit distribution in this time, and I have absolutely other matters. So 1 year ago, I got slowly the time that we get such a machine, and then we made the first tests. Yeah.
The product itself.
Yeah, and the result you can see now as well, but we can. But of course, I was not the first professional producer. Exists before one or two others too. Also, I am only one of the producer or one of the competitors of this product.
Yeah, it's a fantastic product and so easy to use.
I don't remember seeing it before, to be honest with you. Well, yeah, really good.
It's one myself. I used to use old packaging, foam packaging, but it was never right because it would never fit properly.
Do you know what I used to use? The actual doors, like the undercarriage doors, and stick them in with the blue tack. And do you know, like in some of the models I've done in the past where they're actually flying up on a stick, and the reason why they're on a stick is the doors were stuck that hard with the blue tack, keeping it stuck. I couldn't get them out. So in the end, I thought, rather than damage it, right, what else can I do? So that's why I made it flying, had it displayed flying.
So that's a happy accident then, really.
A happy accident for me, yeah.
Okay, guys, so the way my father used to do it back in the day, because it's 40 years ago, 40 years ago, the mattresses used to be made out of this foam material. It was soft, but you could still mold it in a way. And when he got his first airbrush pistol, his idea was to take the wing and press it into the foam of the mattress. And the foam got into the wheel bay, and then he could just spray the mattress, the foam over with a little bit of paint, and it formed basically the perfect shape for the wheel bay. He could then get out with the scissors
and then cut it out.
Yeah,
brilliant.
So that was my own. That was my own idea. When I was 10 years old.
10.
Genius.
Well done.
Yes. But then sitting, I'm a stupid person. Yeah. But today it's a little bit easier to make the foam mask because we have a hand scanner that allows us to just scan the wheel bay and just make the foam mask just perfect for the wheel bay.
I was more surprised at him having an airbrush at 10. Wow.
40 years ago. Yeah. I only got an airbrush about 15 years ago.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Seriously. Yeah. Yeah. I was a hairy stick man for years.
I think I probably picked one up when I was about 15, maybe. Definitely not as young as 10, but 14 or 15.
Yeah. But, it was just the time my dad got it a little wrong. He made himself a little younger because he was 50 years ago, actually. So
50 years.
Fair enough. I will be this year 60 out.
It's 60's good. 60 is a good year. Yeah, 60's.
Petr, what would you say is the difference between good 3D printing and ASK level 3D printing?
That's not really easy question because it's a lot for detail. It's the challenge to get the best result. You don't need really very expensive 3D printers, but of course you have to know how you have to tune it. You have to get the big adventure to get out about several tricks because many points are important for the result. For example, the temperature, humidity, and of course the printing time is very important. I would say in the same time, when we print 50 products, 50 items, other producer in the same time print 500. The same. But of course you need much more longer time and time costs money. And that's the compromise between quality and about the productivity, about the financial side. For me, is the most important point is the quality.
The quality is very, very good, Petr. I got some of the seats, F14 seats, and incredible detail.
But in the first is of course the construction, and the printing is the second step. Both steps are very, very important. And I would say if shoots the customers, also the modelers and the colleagues, pay the real time and the real construction time and the real printing time, they would never buy the item because it would be simply too expensive. There are several items, also we make it because you love it simply. And so, of course, we must offer it for a reliable price, acceptable price.
And when it comes to designing the products, Petr, are these products mainly designed at ASK, or do you have other designers that you contact to design the parts?
Okay, he translates a little bit again. So basically, the core ASK team, where we work under one roof, we dispatch the packages and package everything. That's 5 people, me and my dad included. And then we also have 6 people who work for us externally, but they also have their own businesses and their own ventures. But they work very closely with us, and yeah, most of the orders go to them. Also, they work reduced partly 100% only also for us for ASK, because of course after 30 years with many disasters in the personal horizon, after 30 years also we meet maybe so 10-12 people. We all love the models, the modeling, and anybody from us is a specialist for one part, also for 3D print or for decals printing or for marketing and for IT, for example. And we are all 10-12 people. We work now about 5 years together, and we are all very, very happy about because it works simply.
Okay, you have actually shared some of your development, some seat images with me, which haven't been announced yet. The quality just really is next level compared to some of those which are available at the moment. How much time is spent in researching the designs that are actually produced for your products compared to the actual design work or the actual production work?
That mostly depends on the ability of whoever is constructing the product. So one constructor maybe needs 20 hours for one thing, but another constructor may need 10 hours for a job. And we meet last year a young man. He made never before the 3D constructions. He is now 20 years old, but he was very interested, and he's not a modeler. And he started his first try with 3D constructions. Of course, my part was to tell him about my vision and what I want from him, what should be the result. And after the first 8 weeks, we have the first efficiency. I was very surprised about the quality. After 6 months, we have perhaps the first 10 or 12 ejection seats in the quality now. And the 3D print was the second part. So the guy that does the 3D ejection seats for us, he had prior experience with designing 3D things, but he never made anything for model kits or ejection seats or stuff like that. But he got it down very quickly, and we are very happy with the work he does. And also to keep the quality consistent, we decided he would be the only one doing the 3D ejection seats. So the quality would always be the same, even though the trade-off is that we do not have as many of the ejection seats as we possibly could have. But we think it's a good trade-off when the quality is as good as it is with the ejection seats.
They're worth waiting for. They are definitely worth waiting for.
So it's my father's belief that everyone should do the things that they're best at. So, for example, the guy that does the designs for and printing for the World War II accessories, that's also a different guy, and it's only his focus.
Gotcha. So is he the person that did the design for the Japanese Zero engine and accessories?
For example, yes.
Yeah. The quality of those. It was Kentucky Dave from the Plastic Model Mojo who's actually just raving about it. And even in the States, he can't get enough of your engines for the Zero. let's talk about the decals, because Zippo lighter fluid isn't something most modelers expect to hear when looking at the instructions for a decal sheet. How did you discover, and be honest, people obviously look at the instructions and think, yeah, I'm not going to do that. When did you first understand that this was a fantastic trick to get rid of the carrier film?
Yeah, I think also it was part of the question before about the ideas and about the visions. You know, one of the reasons why I am so often by several shows around Europe is to come out from the warehouse, from the office, because you will be met after 20 hours every day at the house inside that you come in the society under the modernist. It's a hard job, but on the other hand, it's a big relax. And you get here with the tools, with the people, many ideas and tips about the actual trends, what the people like just only at this time and what they would need. And I got many questions in the last 30 years on the many shows. Yeah, listen, I'm searching some decals for my very old kit. I want to build now after 10 years. I have it at home, but the decals are not to use anymore and I need alternative decals. Okay, that was the first point, to offer the people alternative decals for maybe older kids or maybe for attractive other camouflages and so on. That was the first start. Then, of course, I have here in the city a friend. He was owner about 20 years, an owner of screen printing factory. Also, he was working about 20 years in this industry and that is retirement. But was for the time the modeler. And this trick with the Zippo light of read is coming from this guy, because he has many time in the 20 years to make several tests and several also tries, and he find out he tested about 600 different color varnishes and several other chemicals. The result was the final product he made now. Also, he made it just for fun in his free time. It's very good for us too, because he have no other jobs or no other matters. And on the second part is again the construction, because a professional designer for such work, you can never pay it. Also, the constructions we made in cooperation with the companies. For example, with 2 Polonian companies, with 1 Czech company, that we talked together and we asked simply, okay, you made walls in 48 scale. This shames would be interesting for us in second scale, for example. Can we use it to have any matter with or no? Mostly, there is no problem, so that we scale it down or we scale it up. We combine all the several camouflages from several boxes. That's the one method, for example. And then, of course, we have enthusiasts, modelers. They are designers too. They need some decals, for example, for their projects. But they are also kindly that they want that the decals can use other modelers too, so that we get the constructions for free or for other favors. Also, they get from us again 3D prints, or we made construction for 3D print for the guy, for his competition kit. And after that, also we offer it in our product lines. It's a big mix. For cooperation with Duke Hopkins, for example, they made the excellent publications. We print stickers, for example, for Duke Hopkins too. And we get as favor the perfection, some perfection for us as a for that we can use it out.
So what do you do with it? How do you use the lighter fuel? How does it work?
The first matter with the decals by many models is that the decals are very thick and partly hard, so that you get a little bit trouble to get it in the lines and in the panache. And then we print it digital. Digital print is very, very thin. And the second step is the color varnish. You can use several color varnishes. And that's the point. And the cover varnish is the point that defines the nature of the decal, basically. And the thought was that the decals are thin and flexible. With very flexible cover varnish, they stay so more softly. The result is our decals are extremely thin. You must work very carefully. And also, people are also very used to using the older decals. That also sometimes causes problems with our decals. Yeah, so with our decals, you just shortly dip it in the water and wait it a little bit, yeah. After maybe half a minute, you dip it again in water for a little bit. And then you just carefully place it on a surface that has maybe a drop of water on it. And with the Q-tip, with a little piece of cotton on it, you can pour it. Yeah.
So you use the cotton bud or the Q-tip. You put the...
Yeah, to dry every water.
Yes.
But it has the effect that it fits into the band lines, for example.
Yeah, like it works like a solvent. Yeah.
Then you let it dry for half an hour. Yeah, and then if you want to, you take again the Q and you dip it into the lighter fluid. It must not be wet, only a little damp. And then you can swipe away the cover varnish from the decals, or if you need to chemical. But you don't need a decal softener for it at all. For example, but you also don't need to necessarily wipe the varnish away, because when you do the final layer, the varnish on the decal also disappears by itself.
All right, okay.
But the main point, the main idea for this was the stencils, because the stencils, especially on aluminum paint or metal paints, are very visible. And that's another point to wish away the corruption. But you must be, of course, very careful too, because if you have to the ear stick to wedge to down with the lighter fluid, you can also wipe the letters away also. So you have to be very careful to just have it down and not completely wet. But and it's not always necessary. It's always best to maybe take decals you no longer need anymore, put it on just a piece of plastic and try it first.
Yeah.
Just get a feel for it. And then when you're confident how it works, you can put it on the model you want it to really use them. And so guys.
Good advice.
And so now we have basically 2/3 of the satisfied modelers and 1/3 of the very unhappy modelers. But point we create just now an instruction as a short video. Yeah. That people see how it works and how it's the simplest way to use it.
It's a lot easier and a lot less risk to damaging a decal than trying to peel the film off compared to other manufacturers. And I've tried it on a paint mule to actually see how it works, and it's absolutely brilliant. It just makes it so simple, and you just remove the risk compared to other manufacturers' decals. Okay, right then, Boulders.
Yeah, thank you.
Which ASK product has surprised you the most in terms of how popular it became?
Today, our first focus is to react to new releases from model companies, so that we can always stay relevant and always satisfy the biggest demand for the newest, hottest new. Yeah, but because we are a small team, we do not have 20 people for the construction and production. The focus is always the quality. And now we'll get to the original question again. Lancaster or the model. One of the bigger positive surprises was the mask for the Lancaster from Bordeaux model of the because he was the only person to maybe worldwide to convince our constructor to make the masks for that kit, because he didn't want to do it either, but he made it and it has proven to be a very popular mask. You know, as a model, the molding was made for wing as a for first, then came stars, matters, and Bordeaux after that wrote the message that they will release only 1,000 pieces, and I think to get their money back, they invest in the molding, and no other producer, no one Czech big producer was interested to make any aftermarket items for such small limited edition. but for me, but the point, okay, a little bit advertising. And of course, I was thinking on the unhappy modeler, he must mask all the windows on the Lancaster in such scales. My constructor, it is a very stupid idea because the construction time will be very long with all the fittings and so on. But the mask is, of course, a bigger set. It's not so very cheap set, but we sold until now about 2,000 pieces of this mask, although it was very positive, surprising for me.
Petr, ASK is clearly growing fast. You're even expanding your factory. Was this growth planned, or has it taken off quicker than you've expected?
It did come faster than we expected. Of course, growth is always the focus of a company, of every company. But for us, it came a lot faster than we even hoped for.
Surprising for you then.
And it was also very effective feedback. My father's focus to always make the best quality product was paying off very well.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Quality products.
Yeah, of course, we also made some missteps along the way. We are only human, of course. We also made some mistakes, but we always try to do the best quality control and always try to also fix when we make that mistake.
That's great. There's customer service feedback. Yeah.
Petr, when you look at the modelling hobby today, what excites you the most about where scale modelling is going?
Yeah, so many aspects.
We have time.
For me, the best feedback made me happy is when you meet a satisfied modeler. That's what made for me sense also to make my job. Of course, my wife is not so happy about because I spend too much time for him. Yes, and for me it's important how good is by the modelers. For me, it's important the modeler is happy and that we can talk about themes we are interested on all together, and that the people are simply happy with this hobby.
Okay. What have you got that you can share with us in development? Any interesting products about to hit the shelves in about 2 weeks? One piece of news whilst we've been talking is Qatari have just started shipping their Mark 5B Spitfire, which has been on pre-order for a time. So there's a new product line for you. Masks for the Spitfire 5B.
Of course, the first, as possible, I get this kit in my hands. Of course, we made for first one masks. Of course, we have a look for some small 3D goodies. But of course, there are many competitors. And for me, or for us, is the only one matter to get the kit or the finger texture as early as possible. Because the ideal point is, of course, if you can offer the aftermarket items on the start, the beginning of selling of the new kit. Because so the business basically fuels itself. It's very beneficial for both the aftermarket production and also for the company that made the kit itself, because the products basically advertise themselves also.
Gotcha. Okay.
For example, now with the nice gloss metal in 32nd scale, when I get it in my hands, after two weeks, we create the new ejection seats. But the first limited edition, about 3,000 pieces, is sold out. And that's, of course, wrong. Because we have now the aftermarket product for a kit is sold out. We have now very good cooperation with some Polonian, with some Czech, and with some Chinese producers, so that we get the final test shots before they made the completion of the product, so that we have 2, 3, 4 weeks time to prepare some aftermarket products. And this is the win-win situation for the kit producer and for us too, of course.
Yes.
Of course, I know actually about some projects. They are still
in development.
Yes.
Secrets.
We go perhaps, of course, on some of ejection seats, on seats or some detail sets, mask and so on, and on some decal sheets. And that we are prepared for start when the kit start the sellings, that we can offer them aftermarket products too.
Okay.
It was, for example, very important by the Darin Messerschmitt. I don't get really the final test show, but I got from Richard, from Godard, the body sizes that we needed to prepare the first aftermarket products. And then when we get the kit, we made only the settings test, and next day produce on. And that was the point that we just in time offered the items also with the kit also. Especially, for example, by the decals, we made 5 different sheets, and we sold many hundreds of any decal sheets of the Messerschmitt. So, yeah.
It's a superb kit. The Qatari 109 won the kit of the year for us from our benchmates. So that was the first kit. The second kit was the Revell Gloucester Meteor. So you've obviously building for good quality products if you actually choose the ones that we choose as the first and second as the best in 2025. So with going back to the Meteor for a second, you've obviously announced the seat that you're producing for the kit. Are you going to do the foam masks for the wheel wells as well?
Yes, of course.
Okay, I'll order some now, please. And the seats.
But also we are actually for the masks, so for the ejection seats, for the masks, and for the foam masks, we are now including the other 3 constructors, and I spent 80% of my daily times for administration.
Mm-hmm.
And that costs me a lot of time. And we can make many things steps by steps also. And the goal is not the quantity, the goal is the quality. But for example, for the booster metal, of course, it will be coming as a new boxes, I think, in very near time. So that we have now 3 different ejection seats for the booster metal. So I hope you will be happy with it.
I'm sure I will, because I know the person who supplied some of the information very well.
You know that kit then, Brownie, does it come with ejection seat and a non-ejection seat as well?
No, the Meteor F8 only flew with ejection seats.
Right, so it's the really early ones that didn't.
It was the Mark III and Mark IV, the 2-seat Meteors. No, the Night Fighters had ejection seats.
Really? I didn't know the Night Fighters.
It was the 8, the 9 and the PR10 that had ejection seats. But it's, as Petr said, Revell has said there will be at some time another release with the ordinary release, which doesn't have the photo etch, doesn't have the canopy masks, and the other parts which are in the box, of which the original release has actually got in it. But it's the reception, the fact it's sold out already for the first 3,000 pieces. It just shows how popular it is. I know, because I've actually got 4 in my stash to build.
What's your favourite aircraft, Peter?
It are
too many. Well, just one will do. Just one.
One. It's really difficult.
Are we talking World War II?
World War II, yes, definitely. Definitely World War II. Of course, you have in any era, you have some beautiful designed airplanes. Also, I prefer the German airplanes. Also, my long life, because I was fascinated in such short time. They made many futuristic constructions. From the Messerschmitt 109 to the Messerschmitt 262 as defense in series produced ships. But one airplane I like very much is the B-25. I think you will see it very soon.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a good hint. Okay then, Petr. One, other than the B-25 products you've just alluded to, is there anything else new coming from ASK in the next few weeks?
Also, we are near finished with 7 or 8 different sets for the B-25 meter in 48 scale. After that, we scale it up in 32nd scale.
That sounds really good.
And especially in this project, we cooperate now, for example, so that the instrument panels and the instruments will become from Yahoo and will combine it with our 3D prints.
Okay. A question we've had from a listener is and this is slightly different to you, but 3D printing has become something that you can do at home. Why has the development for decals i.e. printing your own at home, especially white decals, not kept up in development at the same speed. So you can get decal film, you can print on your own home printer, your own decals. Why has the development of decals, do you think, not carried on at the same speed as 3D printing of plastic components?
I think it's a little bit interesting question, but you get the decals in the box. If you buy a kit, you have the decals in the box. I think so 8 modelers from 10 are satisfied with the decals in the box. With exception, you take the box from your stash, basically. From your stash after 10 or 15 years, then you see as your decals are not in best condition, but the most people are satisfied with simply with the decals in the box. And then you have to learn also with maybe InDesign or with CorelDRAW or with other software. And the most people don't have simply time for that. And I don't know really also what's the reason now.
Okay, I would have said ink.
Yeah. Most people don't carry inks that are waterproof. Most desktop printers nowadays, if you're going to print your own decals off, one, you've got the difficulty of design, sizing, all that kind of stuff. And then you've got inks that run everywhere. And then you've got to go through the thing where you've got to cover it in something that's going to protect it when you dip it in the water. I think we've gone through this, haven't we, Mike? You did years ago with an F4. And if you didn't protect them or cover them with something, they just ran off. No.
The next point is that you have to use laser printer, of course. And the usual laser printer cannot print the white pigments, the white paint, because you have only the black, then magenta, yellow, and blue, I think. And from these 4 pigments, you get the color print result, but you need white color too. And printer, they can print the white pigments. They are really not cheap. And if you have to spend around 8,000 euro for such printer for your home, it's a little bit too much, I think.
You're going into business for doing it.
Okay. Petr, thank you very much. Where can people find your products online, or have you got main distributorships in different continents? Remembering that this show is actually listened to worldwide.
Our own product line is very young because we started the own production 2 years ago. It's not much time, but I get in the 24 months, we get about 1,000 own products. Full product pořaden. Basically 2.5 new products a day for the 24 months. And because our brand is very young, of course, we are still looking also for selling channels. The most important selling channel is our B2B homepage, also for the business partners, and secondly for B2C, also for the modelers. But after 30 years, I'm working in this industry. Of course, I have many contacts worldwide, so that we cooperate actually, of course, with Hennens in UK, for example, or with Sprue Brothers in the USA, MMD, or with Brunei in Australia, with Chinese, for example. And we have several specialized shops around Europe. Also, we present our items on ScaleMates, for example, too. So if you are really looking in, you can find the products and you can find the best source for you, I think. And if not,
okay, and you have your own online shop?
And if not, you can be in our own shop, yes.
Okay, and the web address is?
It's www.artscale.eu.
Artscale.eu, fantastic. Okay, Petr, thank you very much for your time this evening. We hopefully will see you both at Telford later in the year.
We hope to, yeah. Of course. I think we covered everything, but of course the new sets for the B25s that will shortly be. And of course the new seats that are finished for the Gloster Meteor. And we will also have ejection seats for the F14D in all scales.
Brilliant. That'll keep the Tamiya guys happy for the new 172nd release. Perfect timing.
the list of the projects with the ejections is very, very long.
That I can imagine. Is the goal long term to actually produce most of the major seats? So you can actually have a stock of when new kits come out, you'll have the seats ready to actually release in the future, like all of the Martin Baker seats or the Aces seats, etc.
Just actually prepare all seats for the Phantoms in all scales, for the Hopka Hunters, for example, also in all scales, also they exist actually. And of course, we will very fast react if will come any new kits such in British Phantom, because the British market and our partner Hennens is very important for us too. It's very good cooperation between us, and
we just need a large-scale British Phantom to put your seats into.
And the first step is still the 48 scale.
Mm-hmm.
Make the construction in 48 scale, because this is the best basis to scale it up or scale it down. But of course, you cannot make it one-to-one to scale it up, because you can use maybe 60% of the construction, and the 40% you must construct new, because in 32nd scale, of course, you have to add much more details. In 72nd scale, you must a little bit reduce it.
Fully understand.
But the basis is still 48 scale. And then, for example, after 1 year or 2 years, we get the new kit in 32nd scale. And we can react maybe within 2-3 days to have a new construction for the ejection seat in 32nd scale.
Wow. That is fast, really fast. Yeah.
And for those that haven't seen your products yet, I strongly suggest you actually take a look online at the ASK seats, because the texture of the fabric, which is actually reproduced in the prints, has to be seen to be believed. It really is exceptional. It really has raised the bar that others now have to beat. Okay, Petr, thank you very much for your time this evening. Hopefully we'll get to speak to you again in the future. If not, we'll see you at Telford and we'll have a catch up and a chat then, and hopefully a drink at the bar.
See you guys. Bye now.
See you, Petr. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you very much for your time, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Do you want cutting-edge detail for your kits? Then take a look at Phase Hanger Resin Accessories, run by USAF veteran Mike Reeves. With real-world aircraft experience as a crew chief, Mike knows exactly where accuracy counts. And today, he's bringing that knowledge to life with precision 3D printed parts. From seamless intakes and nozzles to dropped flaps, pods, pylons, and cockpit upgrades, Phase Hanger's prints capture the crisp edges and fine detail that limitations in injection molding just can't reproduce. From 1/72nd to 1/32nd scale, you'll find add-ons from Cold War classics to the latest frontline jets, with frequent new additions to the product range. Every piece is designed by modelers, for modelers, and faithfully reproduced on state-of-the-art printers and shipped worldwide, and are ready to drop straight into your next build. With additions to the product line landing all the time, there's always something fresh to elevate your next build. Explore the full range at phasehangerresin.com and follow Phase Hanger on Facebook and Instagram for regular updates and inspiration. Phase Hanger Resin Accessories, authentic detail designed with a veteran's eye and available to modelers everywhere. Phase Hanger is a proud sponsor of the Beyond the Box Art podcast.
Think you've heard it all? Think again. Follow Beyond the Box Art on the socials for updates that breaks the boundaries, bends rules, and redefines the ordinary.
Well, that just brings us to the end of another episode. Huge thanks to Petr and Petr Jnr. from ArtScaleKit.eu for giving such an honest, fascinating look behind the scenes of ASK, and for reminding us that some of the best modelling innovations come from solving real benchtop problems. and for reminding us that some of the best modelling innovations come from solving real benchtop problems. And a massive thanks goes to Luke from Revell for joining us again at such a busy time. As always, thank you to you, our benchmates, for listening. Whether you're building, driving, painting, sanding, or just hiding from the family with a pair of snips. If you've enjoyed this episode, share it, rate it, tell a few modelers, and it genuinely helps make a difference. So until the next time, see you soon. Bye-bye.